Chapter 925. Haha, I've killed many people like you who yelled and screamed before they died. So, you can insult me as much as you want. I won't hold it against you. Just tell me what I want to know. When Master Wen's voice sounded again, Wang Kai was so angry that he laughed out loud. According to what you said, regardless of whether Ben Shao tells you the secret of the third princess, he will still die in the end? If that's the case, why are you still asking? Are you an idiot? Are you stupid? Wang Kai frowned and sneered with an ashen face. There are many ways to die. Your attitude will determine how you die. Is it painful torture or a quick death without feeling anything? Hearing this, Wang Kai couldn't help but take a deep breath. He didn't know where this Master Wen's confidence came from to actually be so certain that he would relent and tell him. Could it be that he had interrogated too many people? He had succeeded every time. Was that why he was so arrogant and confident now? But no matter where he got his confidence from, now was not the time to be stubborn. Even if the resurrection function could bring him back to life and he wasn't afraid of death, the pain was still there. Moreover, if he continued to act tough and didn't say anything, he would be tortured. This wasn't worth it for Wang Kai. He had always been the one to torture others. When had he ever been tortured? Thinking of this, Wang Kai clenched his teeth and said coldly, "Let Ben Shao say it. But not now. You have no choice. TSK. TSK." Hearing such a strong response, Wang Kai sneered and said, "Don't forget that the third princess will be here soon. The only thing you can do is to kill Ben Shao. But this won't do you any good. You won't know anything in the end, and even if you want to torture Ben Shao and make Ben Shao talk, you need enough time, right?" With the speed of the royal guards of the chaotic martial realm, the third princess should be on her way now, right? Maybe she's about to reach the inn. Whoosh. There was a moment of silence after he said this, as if he was pondering over Wang Kai's words, and also as if he was trying to find out where the third princess was. Wang Kai wasn't sure about all these, but he was sure that as long as he wanted to know what he had on the third princess, he would definitely compromise in the end. "I don't want to know any more, so you can die now." Wang. As Master Wen's icy voice fell, a green chaotic force pierced through the void and turned into a blade that slashed towards Wang Kai. Wang Kai did not have any power to resist. He was suppressed by the pressure and could not move at all. Even if he used the system to deal with a strong enemy like Master Wen, he would need to consume a lot of bragging points, which he would not be able to satisfy at the moment. They could only watch as the azure saber grew larger and larger in their eyes. "Where is the shameless one? Quickly bring this princess to see him." Bang! Crack! As the third princess's voice rang in his ears, Wang Kai lost consciousness in an instant. His body had been smashed into pieces by the azure saber. Fresh blood stained the ground. At the same time, another green chaotic saber attacked and killed the leader of the royal guards that Wang Kai had stepped on. "I will not allow any potential threats to affect the Flame Emperor's plan. No one is allowed to." In the void, Master Wen was wearing a green robe. He had an elegant temperament and was extraordinarily handsome. Even though his words were filled with murderous intent, his expression was still gentle and kind. One. As his voice fell, Grandmaster Wen's figure turned into specks of green light and disappeared. "Despicable and shameless person, get out here!" Bang! The third princess's pretty face was cold, and her beautiful eyes were spitting fire as she walked into the room. After she shouted angrily, she was stunned by the scene in front of her. Other than the blood, flesh, and bone fragments on the ground, there was no one else. Moreover, the pungent smell of blood caused the third princess to frown. She covered half of her face and hurriedly retreated. "Where did you find him? Didn't you say that the person I wanted to capture was here? Where is he?" The third princess was wearing a long golden dress. She was like an erupting volcano with her hands on her waist as she coldly questioned the royal guards who had followed her in. "This," The royal guards were extremely puzzled by this as well. They'd already seen the scene inside, and there was indeed no sign of Wang Kai. Ah, the leader is also gone. Just as a few royal guards went in to search, they realized that there was no trace of the leader of the royal guards. Other than the blood and flesh on the ground, there was nothing else. Damn you, don't let me see you again. Otherwise, I'm going to die from anger. The third princess gritted her teeth and snorted coldly. She flung her sleeves and turned to leave angrily. When the royal guards saw this, they did not dare to stay any longer and hurriedly followed behind her. What exactly happened? How many people have died in my inn in less than 2 hours? How am I going to do business? At the same time, under the guidance of the waiter, the owner of the inn and a group of guests surrounded the entrance. When they saw the bloody scene inside and the pungent smell of blood, everyone's eyebrows were deeply furrowed and they were inwardly horrified. Most of the guests had killed people before and had seen murder before. However, it was the first time they had seen such a vicious method of killing without leaving a corpse behind and without even knowing who had died. Just how much hatred did they have for them to do such a vicious thing? Innkeeper, guests, please leave. I need to tidy up the room. Suddenly, the waiter's eyes turned and he pretended to be disgusted. However, he had no choice but to do so as he bowed and asked for instructions. In response, the inn owner was extremely gratified. He patted the waiter's shoulder and sighed, "Go ahead, go ahead. From today onwards, the inn will not be able to operate. After you finish tidying up, come down and collect your double monthly salary. If you are willing to follow me, you can change places with me and start all over again." Yes, I will definitely follow you. The waiter bowed and nodded as he repeatedly said with a face full of surprise. After the inn owner and the guests left, the waiter scanned the surroundings like a thief. After confirming that there was no one around, he tiptoed and pinched his nose as he entered the room. The royal guards of the royal palace. A chaotic marshal general expert must have left behind a lot of property after his death, right? If others don't want to collect it for you, I will do it for you. The waiter chuckled. He picked up a rag and wrapped it around his hand. He directly reached into the flesh and started to search. You are quite bold. You even want to take the property of a dead person? However, when a laugh filled with disdain rang out, the waiter was so frightened that he fell to the ground. His face was ghastly pale and he broke out in a cold sweat. Damn it! That damned master one caused Ben Shao to die not long after he came to the chaotic world. Damn it! Chapter 926. Who is it? Who? Come out. What? The waiter's face was pale as he trembled and screamed. In the end, he was so scared that he started to cry. He wanted to run away, but he did not have the strength to do so. He was so scared that he lost control of his body. How dare you take advantage of a dead person's wealth with that little bit of courage of yours? Previously, when I didn't give you a tip, you even King reported me. Buzz. As his voice fell, a drop of blood floated into the air and gradually transformed into a figure. When Wang Kai came back to life, the waiter was so scared that he rolled his eyes and fell to the ground, suffocating. Scared to death? What are you thinking? With such little guts, how dare you try to steal from the flesh of the dead? Wang Kai grinned and was speechless. However, he ignored the waiter. Even if the waiter was not scared to death, he would kill him. After all, he could not expose the fact that he had come back to life. Otherwise, he would be hunted down by the third princess and Master Wen of the Warrior King Martial Club. What Wang Kai needed to do now was to quickly find a safe place and brag a few times. Once he was strong enough, he would come back and kill that Master One. Even the third princess had to be toyed with. Young master, you are really amazing. You came back to life. Amazing! Amazing! Just as Wang Kai took out a white robe and put it on, a laughter was heard in the room. Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly when he heard this. He looked in the direction of the door and said with a playful smile, "Which hero is it? Hiding your aura to spy on Benshao, isn't it too much? Ah, I didn't expect you to be so arrogant after dying once. That's right. Young master is not afraid of death and can come back to life. Since that is the case, you don't know what it means to admit defeat." Thud. As soon as he finished speaking, a middle-aged man in a blue robe walked into the room. There was no one behind him. His aura was not obvious, and his realm was also impossible to see through. However, Wang Kai was somewhat displeased that he was unable to see through the other party's realm every time. What realm is he at? Host, this person is a 9th grade chaotic martial grandmaster. This time, a total of 10 bragging points have been consumed. A primal chaos grandmaster, and the strongest 9th stage grandmaster. Chaotic martial disciple, chaotic martial master, chaotic martial general, and finally, chaotic martial grandmaster? Wang Kai frowned and was speechless. Master One had just left, and now there was another person who seemed to be even stronger. It was really hard to accept. You are a 9th grade chaotic martial grandmaster. You actually came to see me, a little chaotic martial master. What can I do for you? Wang Kai shrugged and said casually. Just as he said, even if he died, he would come back to life. Therefore, Wang Kai had no need to be afraid of anything. Although the pain of death wasn't good, he shouldn't lower his head to others just because he was afraid of pain, right? Even if he were to lower his head, he would still have to look at the situation. If he could act tough, he would naturally do so. Oh? I didn't expect you to have the ability to see through my realm. Not bad, not bad. The middle-aged man in the blue robe nodded his head and smiled in surprise. First it was Master, and now it was little brother. Wang Kai frowned slightly. Judging from this person's actions and words, as well as the way he addressed him, he must be a person of high status. Moreover, he was not here to take his life. Even if he wasn't an enemy, he wasn't sure if he was a friend. There were different ways to deal with different people. Tell me, what do you want? Wang Kai said flatly with his hands behind his back. At first, I didn't want to do anything. After all, you dared to take advantage of the princess, and you will definitely die. However, even Master One, who is in the same realm as me, couldn't kill you. Therefore, I am very curious. The middle-aged man in the blue robe squinted his eyes and smiled. I am a king? He actually called himself a king? Moreover, Master One was in the same realm as him? Was he also a 9th grade chaotic martial grandmaster? Wang Kai frowned deeply. Just these two pieces of information were enough to make him nervous. If he dared to call himself a king in Battle King City, could he be the Battle King? Was he the third princess's father? At the same time, the person who called himself a king was in the chaotic martial grandmaster realm. In that case, was that the highest realm in Battle King City? You're the Battle Emperor? Wang Kai's eyes narrowed as he asked bluntly. No. The Battle King is my sworn brother. My name is Chen Tong. People call me Prince Chen Lu. Prince Chen Lu smiled faintly. Prince Chen Lu. Why does this name sound so familiar? Wang Kai frowned when he heard this. He secretly pondered for a moment before he suddenly thought of something. Before he stepped into the Battle King Martial Club, he vaguely remembered that the cultivators in the queue had said that the Battle King's second princess was engaged to Prince Chen Lu. Could it be this person? Your sworn brother is the Battle King. In that case, you are a prince with a different surname? TSK, the relationship between your royal family and the War Monarch is a bit messy. The War Monarch is clearly your sworn brother, yet you still want to marry his beloved daughter, the second princess. Wang Kai curled his lips in a speechless manner. As a member of a military family, Wang Kai naturally knew about the messy relationships in the royal family. However, he did not expect the Battle King City's royal family to be so messy. Prince Chen Lu stroked his beard and smiled mysteriously as he said, "Haha, apart from the War King and myself, there is no third person who knows that the War King is my sworn brother. Oh no, there shouldn't be a fourth person who knows." Whoosh! Wang Kai's pupils shrank when he heard that. He smiled coldly and said, "What the hell do you mean? Can you intimidate Ben Shao with this kind of threat?" "No, no, no. How would I dare to threaten you? I am here to make a deal with you. A deal that can make you rich and powerful." Prince Chen Lu quickly waved his hand and said with a smile, "Brother?" He called him brother? Wang Kai frowned when he heard that. The first time, he called him young master. The second time, he called him little brother. Now, he was King little brother? Oh, CK. Who is your little brother? Who are you talking to? Don't you know that everyone in the chaotic realm is Ben Shao's little brother and little sister? You are just a little Prince Chen Lu. Why did you come here and pretend to be Ben Shao's big brother? Are you tired of living? Wang Kai snorted disdainfully with a dark face. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to become a rank 4 chaotic general. He had always called others little brother and grandson. He did not expect to be called little brother today. Little brother, you are in a very bad situation. Even if you can come back from the dead, you will not be able to escape Battle King City. After all, I am Prince Chen Lu. If you don't cooperate, I will have to capture you and hand you over to the third princess, Prince Chen Lu said calmly. Chapter 927. You seem to be very confident? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and said with a cold smile on his face. Putting aside the fact that he was calling him little brother, he was even threatening him now. Did he really think that he would surrender without a fight? Haha, little brother, don't misunderstand. I really want to be friends with you, so I had no choice but to do this. Of course, that idiot Master One doesn't know that you can come back from the dead, but I saw it with my own eyes. Prince Chen Lu smiled faintly. Whoosh! Wang Kai frowned when he heard this. While he was praising him, he was still threatening him. Are you trying to say that Master One couldn't do anything to me, but you can? Of course. Since I can't kill you, I'll imprison you and hand you over to the third princess. This way, even if you manage to escape, it has nothing to do with me, and I'll be able to obtain the third princess's gratitude. Prince Chen Lu said unhurriedly. These words caused Wang Kai to feel a chill in his heart. According to what he said, no matter what the outcome was, the other party would have an advantage. Instead, he would be met with all kinds of obstacles. Are you so sure that Ben Shao can't do anything to you? Wang Kai shrugged and asked with a playful smile. Master One from the Warlord Martial Arts Club couldn't defeat him because he hadn't shown himself. If they had confronted each other face to face, the final outcome would have been uncertain. Prince Chen Lu was at the same level as Master One, but he still dared to stand in front of him with such fanfare, and even threatened him verbally. If this kind of person didn't die, who would? Sigh, little brother, you have to think about it carefully. With me working with you, not only will the third princess not dare to cause trouble for you, even Master One from the Warlord Martial Arts Club will have to tolerate you. Moreover, you'll be able to control the court and do whatever you want. It's better than being chased everywhere like now, right? Prince Chen Lu shook his head and sighed. Wang Kai was disgusted by his earnest persuasion. It sounded nice, but was this kind of treatment something that just anyone could get? Could it be that he could control the court with just a few words and no one would dare to provoke him? There was a price to be paid for any harvest or sudden gift. Wang Kai was very clear about this. Your opinion is indeed very good, but I'm sorry. Ben Shao has never intended to be anyone's younger brother. To put it bluntly, you're not worthy for Ben Shao to call you elder brother. Also, don't King show off with Ben Shao over there. With your skills, You're not as good as that trash Master One. Wang Kai frowned and sneered with disdain. Even if Master One wanted to kill him, King had to admit that the other party was very smart and cautious. He knew to hide in the dark and not show himself easily. But this Prince Chen Lu was different. He was clearly at the same level as Grandmaster One, but he dared to appear so brazenly in front of him. He probably didn't even see him using Vanishing Shadow to control the royal guards. Even Grandmaster One didn't dare to show his face, but he dared to. Hee, young master, since you don't know what's good for you, then this king will. Go *CK yourself. I've given you some face and chatted with you for a while. Do you really think you're some *T honorable brother of the War King, Prince Chen Lu? Before Prince Chen Lu could finish speaking, Wang Kai waved his hand and interrupted him coldly. He even scolded him mercilessly. Previously, when he was a chaotic martial master, he could use the system to suppress a chaotic general. Now that he was a chaotic general, he could naturally use the system to suppress a chaotic martial ancestor. It was just that the bragging points consumed would be more expensive. Prince Chen Lu, you've done well. If you hadn't informed me, I would definitely have been deceived by this despicable person. Suddenly, the familiar voice of the third princess entered his ears. Wang Kai's pupils shrank and the corners of his mouth twitched involuntarily. When he looked at Prince Chen Lu again, Wang Kai already bore a grudge against him. When he saw that Wang Kai wouldn't agree to his request, he immediately contacted the third princess. Judging by how quickly the third princess had arrived, Prince Chen Lu must have informed her a long time ago. Third princess, what are you talking about? Although I don't have the same surname, I've always been part of the War King's royal family. Naturally, I can't stand anyone offending you. Prince Chen Lu placed his hands behind his back and smiled warmly. Haha, Prince Chen Lu, you're too considerate. I'll inform my father about this. As soon as she finished speaking, the third princess, who was wearing a golden dress, appeared outside the door with her hands behind her back and a playful look on her face. Due to the bloody scene in the room, the third princess didn't enter. Why aren't you out here? Prince Chen Lu is a prince with a different surname. He's the brother of Wang Shang from the Great Qin dynasty, the predecessor of the War King dynasty. If he hadn't secretly helped, it would have been extremely difficult for my father to conquer the Great Qin dynasty. This person is vicious and merciless. He even dares to kill his own brother. His cultivation is also very high. I'm afraid I'm no match for him. Wang Kai, who was about to attack, heard the third princess's voice transmission in his mind. When he heard this, Wang Kai finally understood. Prince Chen Lu was a prince left behind by the Great Qin dynasty. After all this time, Prince Chen Lu was a traitor who colluded with an outsider. He didn't hesitate to kill his own brother, Wang Shang, and cause the destruction of the Great Qin dynasty. Haha, Ben Shao used to think that you were someone important. Although you're a little stupid, I have to admit that you're quite brave to show off in front of Ben Shao. But now, Ben Shao has misjudged you. At most, you're a barren person. Whoosh! As soon as she finished speaking, Wang Kai flung his sleeve disdainfully and walked out of the room to stand behind the third princess. Wang Kai didn't want to dirty his hands by killing a traitor like Prince Chen Lu. Moreover, he would have to use up a lot of bragging points. It wasn't worth it at all. Shut up. Prince Chen Lu is a prince of my War King dynasty. How dare you spout nonsense and insult him? Men, take him back to the palace. I will punish him severely. Just as Prince Chen Lu's killing intent spread, the third princess's beautiful eyes flickered. She hurriedly reprimanded him and waved her hand, signaling the royal guards with her eyes. Don't worry, I won't kill you. As long as you behave and listen to my orders, it will be fine. Afraid that Wang Kai would resist, the third princess could only secretly transmit her voice again. In response, Wang Kai merely shrugged his shoulders and grinned, but he didn't say anything. Since he had walked out of the room and didn't choose to fight to the death with Prince Chen-Lu, it meant that he would temporarily leave with the third princess. Compared to an eccentric traitor like Prince Chen-Lu, it was better to stay with the third princess, who he had a handle on. At least if something happened, he could use it to deal with her. "Young master, what do you mean by Baron?" Prince Chen-Lu furrowed his brows and asked with a rather cold expression. Chapter 928. Not only was Wang Kai stunned by this question, but even the third princess was stunned. She looked at Prince Chen-Lu as if she was looking at an idiot. Although the third princess didn't know what he meant, it definitely wasn't something good. Since it wasn't something good, why did he bother asking? This prince knows that those were insulting words, but this prince has a habit of making everything clear. Whatever you scold this prince will turn you into that prince. If you insult my parents, I'll kill your parents. If you insult my character, I'll make sure everyone in the warlord dynasty looks down on you. If you insult my friends, I'll kill all of them. As Prince Chen-Lu spoke, the corners of Wang Kai's mouth fiercely twitched. This Prince Chen-Lu's personality was truly strange. If he did as he said, wouldn't he be turned into a barren person if he told him what a barren person was? But if he didn't tell him, it would be very unpleasant. With this thought in mind, Wang Kai shrugged and smiled playfully. A barren person is what your father used to give birth to you. You have it, I have it, all men have it. It's very practical, very satisfying, very violent. Swish. With that, Wang Kai quickly left with the royal guards and the blushing third princess. Prince Chen-Lu's face was stiff and filled with murderous intent. He didn't move for a long time. "You bastard, why do you have to say everything? Shameless bastard. If you provoke him, you won't even know how you died." Along the way, the third princess gritted her teeth and cursed in a low voice with a red face. Wang Kai's explanation had almost angered the third princess. What a joke. He's just Prince Chen-Lu who destroyed an empire, not the current prince of the War King Empire. Since that's the case, why should I be afraid of him? Wang Kai shrugged and snorted disdainfully. When the third princess heard this, her beautiful eyes widened as she took a deep breath. Then, she gritted her teeth and said, "It is true that he is a prince of another family, but his cultivation is extremely high. In Battle King City, besides my father, there is no one else who has absolute confidence in suppressing him. Furthermore, he has a deep connection with the Fire Kingdom's royal family." What? He's the second strongest person in War King City? When these words were spoken, Wang Kai was instantly stunned. He had never imagined that Prince Chen-Lu would be so powerful. He was clearly at the same cultivation level as Master One, but he was known as the second strongest person in the War King Empire. Did that mean that he dared to appear in front of her because he was very confident? "What realm is your father at?" Wang Kai frowned and asked. "You don't know? Are you an idiot? Are you an idiot? Where did you come from? Even the people from the countryside know about my father's deeds." The third princess widened her eyes and stared at Wang Kai in disbelief. In the end, she was it? Is your father really that awesome? Does Ben Shao need to know so much? What a joke. Everyone in the chaotic world knows about Ben Shao. If you haven't heard of him, then you must be ignorant. Wang Kai curled his lips and sneered disdainfully. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. You're bragging? The third princess put her hands on her hips and retorted in disdain. Aren't you just bragging? Even if your old man has some skills, it's not to the point where this young master needs to know. It can be said that in this world, the only people who can make this young master remember are this young master's family, wife, and brothers. Wang Kai smiled rather indifferently. The system did not reward him for his words. Indeed, as Wang Kai had said, except for his close female friends, brothers, and relatives, He had almost forgotten all those who had been his enemies and opponent. He did not have the leisure to remember them. Of course, if he thought about it carefully, he would remember them. However, he would not remember them. Then listen carefully. My father is the only chaotic martial king in the warlord dynasty. He is a peerless expert who is above the chaotic martial ancestor and can kill the chaotic martial ancestor with one hand. The third princess said proudly. Chaotic martial king? Chaotic martial disciple, chaotic martial master, chaotic martial general, chaotic martial grandmaster, chaotic martial king. Wang Kai frowned slightly. An expert who was 2 realms higher than him was not easy to deal with. Or rather, he could not deal with him now. It seemed that he had to brag more in the future. He would not let go of any opportunity to brag. After all, he had been able to reach the chaotic martial master level from the chaotic martial disciple level when he had just arrived in the chaotic world. He had fallen from the sky and killed 2 sons of the Zhan family. That was how he had gained a lot of experience. After that, he had reached the chaotic martial general level because he had killed the royal guard of the royal family. Otherwise, he would not have been able to reach his current realm just by bragging. Then listen well. This young master's name is Wang Kai, and I'm in the primal chaos awesome realm. Haha, look at your idiotic appearance. You still don't know what the primal chaos awesome realm is, right? It's very simple. It is the most awesome realm in the chaotic world. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled proudly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Shut up. Who told you to brag? Not only did you offend me, you also disobeyed the royal guards and killed the leader of the royal guards as well as many royal guards. When we return to the palace, you will naturally receive the punishment you deserve. The third princess gritted her silver teeth and said with some resentment, What the f***ck? Hearing this, Wang Kai's footsteps suddenly stopped. He raised his eyebrows and turned around. With a sneer on his face, he said, Don't tell me you misunderstood? Do you really think that Ben Shao is afraid of your bullshit warlord royal family? I'm not afraid to tell you that if Ben Shao enters the palace, the entire palace will be reduced to ashes. Not even a dog's fart will be left. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 1,000 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 5th rank of Chaotic Martial General. Then this princess will tell you that if you have the guts, come back to the palace with this princess. When the time comes, if I can't torture you and let you know the majesty of the warlord royal family, this princess would rather commit suicide in front of you. The third princess raised her slender arm and pointed to the sky. She even swore? When he saw this, Wang Kai couldn't help but rub his nose. He rolled his eyes and chuckled. You don't need to commit suicide. You only need to marry Ben Shao and let Ben Shao become the emperor's son-in-law. Of course, this is your good fortune and luck. You should know that Wang Shang of the Fire Dynasty begs Ben Shao to marry his daughter every day. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Pay. Stop bragging. Wang Shang of the Fire Dynasty doesn't have a daughter. He only has one prince. If you want to marry me, then go ahead. Don't even think about hitting on this princess. Give up on that thought. The third princess turned her head and harumphed. She put her hands behind her back and walked away proudly. The Fire Dynasty doesn't have a princess? Only one prince? When he heard this, Wang Kai's face darkened. Chapter 929. Don't tell me it's the crown prince who married the first princess? Wang Kai rubbed his nose as he spoke, speechless. That's right. My eldest sister is very powerful. If you want to compete with her for favor, don't blame me for not warning you. You'll end up in a miserable state. The third princess blinked her beautiful eyes, her expression filled with disdain. Compete for favor? Damn it. Do you really think I'm gay? The corners of Wang Kai's mouth twitched violently. When he saw the third princess' serious expression, his heart filled with anger. At the same time, he felt extremely disgusted. The wife of the crown prince of the Fire King's royal family is your eldest sister? Haha, then let me tell you frankly. Actually, you should call Ben Shao eldest brother-in-law. Many years ago, your eldest sister had already privately pledged her life to Ben Shao. Oh, she was the one who forced herself on Ben Shao. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled calmly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Whoosh. The third princess narrowed her eyes when she heard this. She placed her hands behind her back and snorted coldly with a serious expression on her pretty face. If that's the case, I should thank you. As long as I spread the news of you having an affair with my eldest sister. Isn't that your biological eldest sister? Wang Kai asked, stunned. He thought that the third princess would definitely be angry. Who would have thought that not only was she not angry, she even looked very happy. Furthermore, it was obvious that she wanted to use what he said to frame her eldest sister. Yes, but after she married the crown prince of the Fire King's royal family for a year, she stopped being his eldest sister. Stop talking nonsense and quickly follow me back to the palace, the third princess said calmly. Seeing that her mood was clearly not right, Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and thought to himself. He did not say anything else. However, one thing was certain. The first princess, who had married into the Fire King's royal family, did not have a good relationship with the third princess. Similarly, her relationship with the warlord dynasty was not good either. Within the warlord's palace, under the lead of the third princess, they stepped through the heavily guarded palace gates, passed through the Xuanwu Road, passed through the Battle Marshal Gate, and finally circled around the Heavenly Marshal Gate before finally arriving at the overflowing fragrance garden where the princess resided. Along the way there were many twists and turns. After walking for over 2 hours, they finally arrived at their destination. This was still a detour. If they wanted to go to the main hall of the royal palace, where Wang Shang was, they would have to walk for more than 2 hours to reach it. If we go to the harem, it will take 6 hours, right? Sigh, it seems that I shouldn't go and steal her. It's too troublesome. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed. If he were to walk in the air, he would definitely be able to go to every place in the palace in the blink of an eye. Unfortunately, regardless of whether it was in the sky or on the ground, there were royal guards patrolling the area. Furthermore, their cultivation was not low, and their numbers were also extremely large. It was simply too difficult for Wang Kai, who was a chaotic martial general, to not be discovered. You are sneaking around there. What kind of evil idea are you thinking of? The third princess turned around. After ordering the royal guards to retreat, her beautiful eyes stared at Wang Kai with a suspicious look on her face. In response, the corners of Wang Kai's mouth curled up slightly. He waved his hand and did not say anything. He scanned the overflowing fragrance garden where the third princess resided. There was not even a single royal guard around. Even if there were palace maids and servant girls, there was only Qiao who had just come out to welcome them. Aren't you afraid that Ben Shao will kill you? You don't even have a single guard? Wang Kai furrowed his brow and asked in surprise. Humph, I'm afraid you are thinking too much. Although there are no royal guards stationed in the overflowing fragrance garden where my princess resides, there is a spirit snake watching over her. If you are not afraid of death, you can give it a try. Before the third princess could speak, Palace maid Qiao snorted disdainfully. Spirit snake watching over her? When Wang Kai heard this, he frowned and scanned his surroundings carefully. In the end, he did not find any spirit snake. Furthermore, when he probed with his divine thought, he did not find anything strange either. If there really was a spirit snake, its cultivation level must be extremely high. It was not someone that he could defeat. Thinking of this, Wang Kai did not act rashly. He shrugged and smiled faintly. You must be joking. Ben Shao does not have the time to do anything to you. Tell me, what do you want to do by bringing Ben Shao here? What do I want to do? Don't you know? The third princess glared with her beautiful eyes and placed her hands on her waist as she reprimanded him. I know? You really like Ben Shao and now you want Ben Shao to stay and spend the night with you. TSK, you have good taste. Although Ben Shao does not like to be forced by others, he can still grit his teeth and obey a beautiful princess like you. Come do it. Ben Shao will not scream. Wang Kai stretched out his hand and tore open his shirt, revealing his chest. He shouted with a calm face. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Beautiful princess. Hearing this, the third princess blinked her beautiful eyes. She couldn't help but feel pleased in her heart. However, on the surface, she still maintained a cold expression as she angrily rebuked. Impudent! You dare to threaten me again and again. Now that you are in the palace, you still don't know how to write the word death? Clap, clap. Wang Kai immediately clapped his hands and smiled proudly. You have asked the right person. The word death is nothing more than a bad person holding a dagger in his hand. Just like you holding another dagger called the Princess Identity and wanting to take Ben Shao's life. This is the word death. What? When these words were spoken, the third princess and Xiao were both stunned. They looked at each other as the word death involuntarily surfaced in their minds. According to what Wang Kai had said, this was indeed what it meant. Wasn't the word death made up of the word bad and dagger? Ba. I am not asking you how to write the word death. I am asking you if you know the taste of death. The third princess shook her head and scolded him with her red lips tightly pursed. Wang Kai had messed things up. His mouth was simply too eloquent. The taste of death? Ben Shao does know this, but I can't explain it to you. I can't let you experience it for yourself. After all, you are such a beautiful princess. I can't let you die for nothing. However, Ben Shao can tell you the taste of the wedding night. Wang Kai squinted his eyes and smiled mockingly. You are shameless. The third princess reprimanded him with a red face. Bastard! Princess, let the spiritual snake come out and kill him. He is simply too despicable. The palace maid Xiao Er's face was also red. She gritted her teeth and reminded him in a low voice. Spiritual snake? TSK, quickly let it come out. Ben Shao wants to see what kind of snake it is that it dares to challenge Ben Shao. Needless to say, one move is enough to kill it. Wang Kai shrugged and sneered with disdain. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 6th grade chaotic general realm. Chapter 930. One move. Haha, as soon as he said this, the third princess and Xiao both laughed coquettishly. Their laughter was full of contempt and disdain. Wang Kai didn't care about this. He was just bragging. As for whether the other party believed it or not, that was their business. What did it have to do with him? Huar, come out and see the shameless human. Hiss. Swoosh. 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 Suddenly, at the third princess's command, a thin flower snake with one arm crawled out from the flowers. The flower snake's color was very messy. Due to its small size, it was difficult to see it with the naked eye. Hiss. 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 The little flower snake climbed onto the third princess's shoulder and spat out its tongue. It stared at Wang Kai with its green eyes. Can't speak? How dare you call yourself a spiritual snake? Wang Kai curled his lips in disdain. He sensed the aura of the flower snake and found that it was only at the peak of grade 9 chaotic martial artist. For a moment, he did not care. Wang Kai was already a grade 6 chaotic martial artist. With the vanishing shadow, he did not need to be afraid of the little flower snake, a grade 9 chaotic martial artist. Hiss. However, these words instead infuriated the little flower snake, causing it to spit out its tongue and sway its body as it took on an attacking posture. Wait, horror, there is no need to care about this ignorant fool. Everyone knows that demons can't speak the human language or take human form before reaching the king realm. He doesn't know that because he is stupid. The third princess waved her hand and comforted the flower snake. Swoosh. Wang Kai was full of disdain when he heard this. He thought that outside the chaotic realm, all the demonic beasts had taken human form. Even the weapon spirits could speak. As expected of the chaotic realm, it is indeed a primitive place before the universe was formed. The evolution is not high enough. Wang Kai said flatly. You speak as if you are not from the chaotic realm. Qiao snorted disdainfully. No need to talk nonsense with him. He is just ignorant. The third princess said. Who's the ignorant one? Wang Kai shrugged and snorted in disdain. You're a chaos general, but you can't even speak. You're embarrassing yourself. In the Qingyun starry sky, even in the Fan prefecture, there were many beasts that could speak the human language. Of course, even knowing this, Wang Kai had no intention of underestimating the other party. Even though the snake could not speak, it was at the pinnacle of the 9th grade chaotic martial artist realm. Even though it was unable to speak, it was still far stronger than any other demonic beast he had ever seen before. It was already so powerful without being able to take human form or speak human language. Wouldn't it be even more powerful when it took human form? Looks like, if there's a chance, Ben Shao also has to get a demon pet. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes. He thought to himself, forget it. I'm tired. I don't want to talk nonsense with you. But don't worry, I won't take your life. As her voice faded, the third princess stretched her waist, revealing her tender body that was about to blossom. Qiao, take Little Flower and escort him to Eunuch Lu. What? To Eunuch Lu? Don't tell me you want to. Qiao widened her beautiful eyes and asked in surprise. That's right. Let him become a eunuch. In the future, he will be under my command in the overflowing fragrance garden. The third princess said indifferently. Let Ben Shao become a eunuch? Do you want to castrate Ben Shao? Hearing this, Wang Kai's face darkened. He almost jumped up. He was truly frightened by the third princess's words. However, no matter how Wang Kai shouted, the third princess did not have any intention of paying attention to him. She turned around and disappeared from the garden. Only Qiao, whose face was filled with sympathy, and the little flower snake, whose eyes were filled with threat as it stared intently at Wang Kai. Accept your fate. You are the first person who dares to provoke the third princess like this. You are also the first person who has been brought back to the palace by the third princess. Unfortunately, Sai. Let's go. It is already fortunate that you can keep your life. Qiao sighed in sympathy. Hiss. The little flower snake climbed onto Qiao's shoulder. It spat out its tongue and urged Wang Kai. You sympathize with Ben Shao a lot? Since that is the case, then secretly. Impossible. I am indebted to the third princess. If not for the third princess, I would have been sold to a brothel or starved to death on the street. Therefore, even if you are very pitiful, you can only accept your fate. Qiao waved her hand and interrupted. After speaking, Qiao came to Wang Kai's side and gestured with her hand. With regards to this, Wang Kai was truly speechless to the extreme. He also did not expect that this was the reason why the third princess wanted him to follow her back to the palace. Even if he resisted, he could easily suppress the little flower snake and render Qiao powerless. However, Wang Kai did not have the confidence to escape the palace. After all, countless royal guards and hidden powerful chaos warriors were all in the palace. Damn it. Looks like I can only beat her at her own game. When the time comes, I will use the system to suppress Eunuch Lu and pretend to be castrated. Then, I will return to serve the third princess. When the time comes, won't I have a good time? As he thought about it, Wang Kai grinned. His heart was filled with blooming flowers. One had to know that in front of eunuchs and eunuchs, the women in the palace would not care about anything and would allow them to serve them. Are you thinking of something bad again? Humph, don't blame me for not telling you. In the palace, eunuchs have to understand the rules the most. If they commit any crimes that they should not commit, they will die more miserably than anyone else. Qiao frowned and scolded in a delicate voice. Hiss hiss. The little flower snake on her shoulder also spat out its tongue, as if it was also warning Qiao. In this regard, Wang Kai was extremely helpless. He did not think that he would be reduced to the point where he was threatened by a servant girl and a demon beast. Damn it! I will count this debt on you. When Ben Shao returns, he will definitely serve you so well that you will want to die and you will not be able to stop. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and thought of the third princess's budding body. He secretly laughed coldly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. How can this be considered bragging? Ben Shao will obviously serve him well, okay? Wang Kai frowned and said rather unhappily. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. However, the system did not care at all and directly gave the second reward notification. In this regard, Wang Kai frowned deeply. He secretly thought that the way eunuchs lived in the palace was completely different from what he had imagined. What are you still standing there for? Hurry up and leave. Qiao stretched out her hand and gave Wang Kai a hard shove. You will know how powerful Ben Shao is one day. When that time comes, you will be like your princess and call Ben Shao Master Kai. Remember, little girl. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and snorted coldly at Qiao. He then turned and left. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 7th grade chaotic martial general realm. Chapter 931. The Cleansing Dust Agency. Wang Kai's limbs were bound by iron chains, and he was lying flat on a rather large iron plate with his arms and legs spread out. One could clearly see that there was a circle of vacuum on the metal plate between his legs. Below it was a wooden bucket, which was perfectly aligned with the circle of vacuum. One did not need to think to know that the wooden bucket was for Eunuch Lu. Ben Shao thinks that we can have a good discussion. Wang Kai frowned as he spoke in an indifferent tone. Even though he was tied up, he did not show the slightest bit of fear. Such a calm attitude surprised the white-haired, white-browed, and pale-faced Eunuch Lu. What do you want to discuss? Let you go? How much chaotic steel will you give me? Eunuch Lu narrowed his eyes as he lowered his head to look at the small black scimitar in his hand. His laughter was rather ear-piercing. Everyone who had been here knew what the small black scimitar was for. Chaotic steel? Wang Kai was startled when he heard this. It seemed that the so-called chaotic steel was the common currency of the chaotic realm. However, since Eunuch Lu had mentioned this matter, it meant that there was still room for discussion. With this thought in mind, Wang Kai's lips curled slightly as he said in a rather heroic manner, Eunuch Lu is indeed a straightforward person. It is merely chaotic steel. If Eunuch Lu is willing to be magnanimous, Ben Shao can give you a mountain range that can mass-produce chaotic steel. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Yo, you are young, but you have quite a big mouth. However, it is simply wishful thinking for you to escape. Everyone who comes here is like you, offering all sorts of conditions, but in the end they are unable to change their fate. Kid, accept your fate. With me personally carrying out the operation, you will not feel any pain. In the end, Eunuch Lu's tone suddenly became sinister and terrifying. A cold glint flashed in his eyes on his pale face. Will not feel any pain? Do you think this is an injection? It also depended on the technique? Wang Kai's face suddenly darkened. He frowned and said in a rather stiff tone, I'm giving you some face, but you don't want it. If Ben Shao is not satisfied, he will fart and kill you right here. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. You whoosh. Hearing this, Eunuch Lu's pupils shrank. His eyes were filled with fear as he took a few steps back. He narrowed his eyes and stared at Wang Kai's lower body, as if something terrifying was about to come out. The corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched when he saw this. He didn't expect Eunuch Lu to be so misophobic. Kid, don't hold a grudge against me. In the palace, being in the king's company is like being in the company of a tiger. One day you will be beheaded. If I keep you here, won't it speed up my death? However, you can be at ease. After I cleanse your body, as long as you perform well, I won't treat you unfairly. Although your official position in the palace isn't high, you'll be able to make all the civil and military officials fawn over you. Wouldn't that be great? Eunuch Lu seemed to be used to saying a lot of sinister words. His intention was to clean Wang Kai's body so that he would be able to stand out in the future. What realm is Eunuch Lu at? Wang Kai frowned and secretly activated his thoughts to ask. Host, this person is a rank 1 chaotic martial grandmaster. This time, you have consumed 10 bragging points. Rank 1 chaotic martial grandmaster. After hearing the notification, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly. He was already a rank 7 chaotic martial general. If he wanted to use the vanishing shadow to control a chaotic martial grandmaster, it would not be difficult. With this thought, Wang Kai suddenly exerted force. With a series of cracking sounds, the chains that bound his body broke. You brat, if you resist, it won't be as simple as cleaning your body. Eunuch Lu's pupils suddenly shrank. His fingers pinched the small black scimitar, which shone with a cold light. Shut your F***, king, shut up. You are just a rank 1 chaotic martial grandmaster trash. Ben Shao has killed countless scum like you. Even a chaotic martial king is just a F** king grandson to Ben Shao. How can you be considered baron? Ahem, I almost forgot that you don't have that thing. Wang Kai touched his nose and found it funny. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through the realm and reaching rank 8 chaotic martial general. Whoosh. After hearing this, Eunuch Lu's face suddenly darkened. Although he did not know what baron meant at the beginning, the latter part of the sentence about not having that thing, this sentence undoubtedly pierced his nerve. There was nothing wrong with being a eunuch. Even a 3-year-old child would know. As a eunuch, even if he had a high status and was fawned upon by the civil and military officials, in his heart, what he hated the most was to be criticized by others for not having that thing. Wang Kai's words undoubtedly poked at his sore spot. Little bastard, if I do not tear you into pieces today, I will not be worthy of being the number 1 eunuch in the palace. I will not be worthy of Wang Shang's trust in me. Give me your life. Buzz. Swoosh. Suddenly, Eunuch Lu yelled out in a sinister voice. Cyan chaotic force gathered on the small black scimitar. With a casual toss, it flew straight towards Wang Kai. The target of the scimitar was Wang Kai's lower body. A gust of cold wind blew from his lower body, causing Wang Kai's face to turn green. His heart was filled with boundless anger. Vanishing shadow. Buzz. Wang Kai tapped his foot and rolled down the metal plate. He narrowly avoided the attack of the scimitar. Then, he stretched out his hand and grabbed Eunuch Lu's shadow in his hand. Ding-dang! At the same time, Eunuch Lu, who was controlling the scimitar with chaotic energy, suddenly froze. The scimitar fell to the ground as the use of chaotic energy was interrupted. Congratulations to the host for successfully controlling a rank 1 chaotic martial ancestor. A total of 50 bragging points have been spent. You slap. Before Eunuch Lu could speak, Wang Kai viciously slapped him across the face, causing Eunuch Lu to become dizzy. Eunuch Lu's body swayed, and he could only see stars before his eyes. F***CKU. If you want to hit me, then hit me. Why do you want to castrate Ben Shao? Are you tired of living? Slap slap. After he finished speaking, he slapped Eunuch Lu twice. Eunuch Lu's body fell to the ground like a roly-poly toy and bounced back. He was controlled by Vanishing Shadow and could only maintain one position. Even if he wanted to fall, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Cough cough, what kind of technique is this? Who are you? What do you want? Eunuch Lu opened his mouth and coughed up blood. He even spat out 2 teeth on the ground. Chapter 932. Ben Shao has never changed his name. He is Wang Kai, the best in the chaotic realm, the one who split the heavens and the earth and used the chaotic realm as a toilet. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and smiled proudly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Nonsense. The one who split the heavens and the earth was the great sage Pangu. The chaotic realm is the birthplace of the great sage Pangu. It is also the foundation for the great sage Pangu to become a sage. Aren't you afraid that the great sage Pangu will destroy you with your nonsense? Eunuch Lu berated Wang Kai. Wang Kai's words had completely infuriated him. It was as if he was angrier than saying that he did not have that thing. The great sage Pangu? The great sage Pangu? Is this a realm? Wang Kai frowned when he heard this and asked with a surprised expression. Of course. In the chaotic realm, the Supreme Saint realm is one of the strongest. Although it's not the strongest, you should know that there are less than 10 people who can reach that realm. Eunuch Lu said sinisterly. The Great Sage Realm was the name of an extremely powerful realm. Above it, there was the strongest realm. Less than 10 people could reach this realm. Wang Kai frowned deeply. The realms that he knew were Chaotic Martial Disciple, Chaotic Martial Master, Chaotic Martial General, Chaotic Martial Grandmaster, and Chaotic Martial King. Could it be that the Great Sage Realm was above them? The Great Sage Realm is above the Chaotic Martial King Realm? Wang Kai touched his nose. Although he felt embarrassed, he could not help but ask. He was not happy to be kept in the dark. Ignorant child. Above the Chaotic Martial King is the Almighty. After the Almighty is the Sage Realm. After the Sage Realm is the Sage Realm, the Ancient Sage Realm, the Ancient Sage Realm, the Ancient Sage Realm, and finally the Great Saint Realm. Do you know how stupid you are now? You disgraceful bastard! Eunuch Lu scolded harshly. Almighty, Sage, Sage, Ancient Sage, Sage, Ancient Sage, Great Sage. Pangu was among them, and he was at the Great Sage Realm. Did that mean that those mythical characters were also here? For example, the 3 pure ones, Hongjun, Nuwa Fushi, and so on. At this moment, Wang Kai's heart was surging endlessly. If he could really meet those people, wouldn't he be ecstatic? Ahem, you did very well. Although you are just a eunuch without any infertility, you know a lot. Wang Kai reached out and patted his shoulder, praising him. When Eunuch Lu heard this, his face turned green with anger. He wanted to kill Wang Kai, but at this moment, he was insulted again. One could imagine how sullen he felt. Don't be angry. Can't you see that your shadow is already controlled by Ben Shao? I'm not afraid to tell you that Ben Shao only needs to pull gently and your shadow will shatter. At that time, you will die. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and said with a playful smile. Whoosh! When Eunuch Lu heard this, he was stunned and his eyes flickered. For a moment, he was not sure if Wang Kai was telling the truth. However, he did not dare to act rashly. Eunuch Lu, are you done? I'm afraid the third princess can't wait any longer. Qiao Er's voice suddenly came from outside. Her tone was filled with doubt. Obviously, she had heard the noise inside. Eunuch Lu felt even more sullen. If the third princess had not personally given the order, why would he have to personally cleanse Wang Kai's body? If he had not personally come, how would he have been controlled by Wang Kai? When he saw that Eunuch Lu did not say a word, Wang Kai's eyes narrowed and he waved the shadow in his hand. The threat was self-evident. Qiao please wait a moment. I will be done soon. Eunuch Lu had no choice but to grit his teeth and reply. The only thing you can do now is to obey Ben Shao. You must listen to Ben Shao's arrangements. Otherwise, Ben Shao will crush your shadow at any time and you will lose your life. Furthermore, from now on, you have lost the right to live under the sun. Buzz. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Kai squeezed his hand and stored Eunuch Lu's shadow into the system. What do you mean? If I can't live under the sun, how am I supposed to serve Wang Shang? Eunuch Lu's eyes widened as he spoke with a face full of fear. If he could not go when Wang Shang summoned him, wouldn't he be doomed to be beheaded? Don't worry, Ben Shao will give you a bit of shadow every day so that you can live under the sun for 6 hours. Of course, don't even think about disobeying Ben Shao. Even if you are thousands of miles away from me, Ben Shao can still crush your shadow and take your life. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled calmly. Buzz. As soon as he finished speaking, a shadow the size of a baby's fist was absorbed into Eunuch Lu's body. Such a small shadow could only survive under the sun for 6 hours. Once it was over, it would definitely turn into dust and die. However, even though Wang Kai had taken control of the shadow and controlled all the movements of the body, Eunuch Lu still did not believe it in his heart. After all, such a technique to control shadows was too strange and unbelievable. He had never seen it before, so how could he believe it? What do you want? Eunuch Lu narrowed his eyes and asked sinisterly. It's very simple. Announce to the outside world that Ben Shao has been successfully cleansed by you. Also, find an opportunity to let Ben Shao play in the warlord's harem. Don't worry, Ben Shao is a dignified gentleman and will not do anything to the queens and concubines in the harem. Wang Kai said indifferently with his hands behind his back. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience and 10 bragging points. How audacious! These words infuriated Eunuch Lu, but he did not dare to easily show it. Even if he did not believe that it was possible to kill him through the shadow, he could not casually attempt it. He still needed to pacify Wang Kai before he could slowly find a way to take back the shadow. Outside the cleansing dust department, when Wang Kai followed Eunuch Lu out with a pale face and weak legs, Qiao covered her nose tightly and glanced at Wang Kai's lower body. When she saw that the blood was still there, she was immediately disgusted and turned her head away with great sympathy. Let's go back to the overflowing fragrance garden and wait for the third princess's orders. Qiao said impatiently. You can't do that. He has just been cleansed and needs to stay by my side to remember the rules for eunuchs. Before Eunuch Lu could finish speaking, Wang Kai stopped him with a look. Eunuch Lu, what did you just say? Qiao turned around and asked in confusion. Eunuch Lu felt extremely helpless and terrified when he heard this. If Wang Kai returned to the overflowing fragrance garden and did something that should not happen between him and the third princess, and the warlord found out in the future, wouldn't he? But now, even if he felt extremely helpless, there was nothing he could do. No, nothing. I only hope that Qiao can let him recuperate before doing anything. Eunuch Lu waved his hand and said bitterly. Chapter 933. Hurry up. Do you want the honorable princess to wait for you? If you delay her training at the Warlord Martial Arts Club, you will be in deep trouble. Qiao's urging voice sounded from outside again. The impatience in her voice had become even more intense. In response, Wang Kai frowned and lowered his head to look at the tent. The corner of his mouth twitched speechlessly. If he went out like this, wouldn't he be exposed? What are you rushing me for? Just wait a moment. I've been up all night trying to comprehend the heavenly phenomenon, and I've discovered a great mystery. I'm afraid the War Emperor dynasty is going to be restless from now on. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and calmed his mind while dealing with the outside world. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to rank 2 chaotic martial ancestor realm. Nonsense. Now that you are a eunuch, how dare you speak such nonsense and speculate about the warlord dynasty? You have committed a crime punishable by death. Qiao, who was outside the door, scolded Zhou Dongwang angrily. As a member of the warlord dynasty and the third princess' personal maid, she did not want to hear Wang Kai's nonsense. What do you know? Do you think Ben Xiao is willing to tell you? Do you know that in this world, the number of people who want to ask this young master to do a divination is as numerous as the carps crossing the river, innumerable? It is your fortune to be able to read the fortune of the warlord dynasty for free. Don't pretend to be innocent after taking advantage of me. Wang Kai frowned and snorted disdainfully. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. You are a bastard. Xiao Hua, come with me and teach him a lesson. Bang. Suddenly, the door was pushed open by Qiao. Together with Spirit Snake, she aggressively strode in. She pointed at Wang Kai and was about to scold him. However, before she could say anything, she was shocked by the scene in front of her. A certain part of Wang Kai's lower body was still protruding and looked extremely hideous. Qiao covered her mouth and pointed at Wang Kai's lower body. She screamed, Your lower body. You are not. Shut up. Damn it. Hiss. Bang. In a moment of desperation, Wang Kai steeled his heart and directly jumped off the bed. With a wave of his hand, he sent the attacking spirit snake flying. Then, he pointed at Qiao's forehead. With one finger, Qiao's body stiffened and was fixed in place, unable to move at all. In the end, even her mouth was gagged by Wang Kai with a corner of the bedsheet. As for the spirit snake, it was not lightly beaten. After swaying a few times, it fainted on the spot. What are you staring at? Don't you? Do you think you can enter a man's room as you wish? Fortunately, this young master's willpower is strong enough, and his body is the hardest under the heavens. Otherwise, if I were to be scared to death by you, how would I be able to have fun with beautiful women in the future? Wang Kai frowned and coldly snorted. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through and reaching grade 3 chaotic martial ancestor realm. Woo woo woo. Woo woo woo. Qiao had a corner of the bedsheet in her mouth as she stood there motionlessly. It could be said that she could neither speak nor move her body. She could only stare and whimper incessantly. And you, little snake, how dare you attack Ben Xiao? Do you know that Ben Xiao is Nuwa's sworn brother? Wang Kai said with disdain. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Woo woo woo. However, the unconscious Ling she did not hear what Wang Kai had said. Instead, Qiao who could not speak, was furious. In the chaotic realm, everyone knew that Nuwa was the oldest deity. She was even more honorable than the top powers of the great sage realm. However, Wang Kai had said that he was Nuwa's sworn brother. Such words were undoubtedly an insult to the Honorable Nuwa. Why are you angry? Why are you angry? If you don't believe me, you can ask Sister Nuwa to come here and see if she recognizes me as her brother. Humph! Wang Kai said proudly with his hands behind his back. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through and reaching Grade 4 Chaotic Martial Ancestor Realm. Host, your current cultivation level is not enough to provoke Nuwa. You must be careful with your words. Some things are better if you don't have to boast. As the system notification rang out, Wang Kai's mouth twitched violently. He could not help but break out in cold sweat. After apologizing to Nuwa in his heart, he did not dare to use her to brag anymore. After all, in the chaotic realm, there was even a great sage Pangu. Who knew if Nuwa was there? If there was, wouldn't he be digging his own grave? Moreover, according to the system notification, there was an 80% chance that Nuwa existed. Stand here obediently. Benshao, go and deal with your master first. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders. He flipped his hand and froze the Ling Shi in place. After doing all this, he broke open the door and left. In the depths of the overflowing fragrance garden, in a pavilion called the Fragrance Pavilion, the third princess was lying on her bed with a smug smile. Humph, let's see how I will deal with you this time. Thud. Just as she finished speaking, Wang Kai had already pushed open the door and walked in. Furthermore, his footsteps did not stop as he walked towards the third princess's bed. Looking at the transparent pink curtain, Wang Kai frowned and sneered disdainfully. Little girl, tell me, why did you ask me to come here? You? Whose grandfather are you? Pooh pooh pooh, you bastard, how dare you barge in without informing me? The third princess, who was lying on the bed, was so frightened that her face turned pale. She clutched the blanket tightly and sat up. She did not expect Wang Kai to be so bold as to barge in so brazenly. Did he really not know what the word princess meant? Inform your grandfather? Show me all your moves, or else you will say that Benshao did not give you a chance. Wang Kai said calmly with his hands behind his back. Wang Kai, who was already a Grade 4 Chaotic Martial Grandmaster, did not need to be afraid of a little girl. Hearing this, the third princess's beautiful eyes widened. Just as she was about to fly into a rage, her eyes suddenly lit up. She changed the topic and said with a smile, "This princess almost forgot you are now a eunuch. You can't do anything to this princess, cough cough." Humph, what do you want Benshao to do to you? Benshao doesn't care. It's better if you ask your mother to serve you. Even though the third princess stopped speaking in time, Wang Kai still understood what she meant and sneered with disdain. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Chapter 934. If I had known that you were not taken by Eunuch Lu, I would not have treated you that way. Furthermore, you were only a chaotic martial master yesterday. Why are you a chaotic martial ancestor today? Cough cough. As she spoke, the third princess felt wronged. Her eyes turned red and she pouted. She started sobbing softly. That resentful look could be said to be pitiful. Indeed, if the third princess knew about it, nothing would have happened. Wang Kai might have been captured or even killed by the more powerful people in the palace. However, no matter what he said now, it was already too late. Haha, Benshao has always been a chaotic martial ancestor. Furthermore, this is only the level that Benshao is at. If I were to show my full strength, I would be able to defeat your father easily. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and smiled proudly. Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for making a breakthrough and reaching rank 6 chaotic martial ancestor. Keep bragging. The third princess pouted and snorted. She did not believe Wang Kai's nonsense. However, she knew that when Wang Kai was in the Warlord Martial Arts Club, he was only a chaotic martial master. Furthermore, when he returned to the palace, even Spiritual Snake could force him to go to Eunuch Lu. She could tell that before this, no matter how powerful Wang Kai was, he would not be a chaotic martial ancestor. Because of this, the third princess could not help but be shocked. Thinking about it carefully, it had only been a few hours and Wang Kai was able to break through so quickly. Wang Kai's age did not match his chaotic martial master realm. After all, he was only a chaotic martial master in his 20s. In the Warlord martial dynasty, he could only be considered an inferior martial artist. For example, he was a fool who could be found everywhere. However, it seemed that he was extremely talented to be able to reach the chaotic martial ancestor realm in a few hours. Of course, there was another possibility. Wang Kai had been a primal chaos grandmaster since the beginning. He had always pretended to be weak in order to, although this possibility was not as terrifying as reaching the level of a primal chaos martial grandmaster in a few hours, a primal chaos martial grandmaster in his 20s was still extraordinarily powerful. At least, there wasn't a single one in the entire Battle Emperor dynasty. You used to be a primal chaos grandmaster, right? That must be it. You've been hiding it all this time just to get me. Now that you've gotten what you wanted, are you satisfied? The third princess pursed her thin red lips and said in a bitter tone. There was even a hint of pride in the third princess's beautiful eyes. For a genius like Wang Kai to spend so much effort to woo her, she felt honored. Indeed, if Wang Kai became the emperor's son-in-law, he would be praised by the entire dynasty. After all, a chaotic martial grandmaster in his 20s was ridiculously powerful. Don't be so smug. According to you, everything Ben Shao did was designed to get you? Wang Kai frowned and said speechlessly. Isn't that the case? The third princess's beautiful eyes narrowed and her pretty face was filled with fear. Seeing this, Wang Kai's mouth twitched and he swallowed all the words he wanted to say. Now that he had taken her body, it would be inappropriate to say anything bad. Thinking of this, Wang Kai shrugged and reached out to pull the third princess into his arms. He said affectionately, "That's right. Ben Shao did plan everything to get you. However, Ben Shao has never hidden his cultivation level. He did use a few hours to break through. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points." According to Wang Kai's personality, he would lie when he needed to and boast when he needed to. Whoosh. However, when the third princess heard these words, her beautiful eyes widened. She covered her mouth tightly and was hugged in his arms. Her beautiful face was red as she said, Then you were really just a chaotic martial master before? God, you actually took such a big risk for me." The more she said, the more proud the third princess became. At the same time, she was deeply touched and scared. If Wang Kai had made a mistake and died, if he had died then, he wouldn't have had his way with me. However, if anyone dares to touch him now, I, Ling Fei will be the first to stop them. The third princess thought to herself. Oh yes, I still don't know your name. Wang Kai touched his nose awkwardly. Both of them had done the deed, but he didn't know her name. This was indeed a little speechless. You don't even know my name? After the third princess recovered from her shock, she stared at Wang Kai angrily. In fact, all her previous guesses had been overturned. He didn't even know her name. How could he say that he had planned to woo her? Wasn't this nonsense? Who didn't know the name of the princess of the Warlord dynasty? Ben Shao, I really don't know your name. I just came out from the deep mountains. Before I came out, the dynasty was still surnamed Chen. I wanted to kill your father to avenge the Chen dynasty. However, I fell in love with you when I saw you yesterday. I decided to woo you and we will protect the warlord dynasty together. Wang Kai was stunned for a moment before he explained with a straight face. His expression was sincere and he spoke from the bottom of his heart. He didn't look like he was lying at all. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to rank 7 chaotic martial ancestor realm. Whoosh. When the third princess heard this, she was suspicious and did not believe it. However, when she saw Wang Kai's sincere expression, she had no choice but to believe him. After she believed him, she was moved beyond words. You? I didn't expect you to give up your country for me. I will definitely make you the emperor's son-in-law. Let's go and see my father now and tell him about us. With that, the third princess grabbed Wang Kai's sleeve and walked out. The corners of Wang Kai's mouth twitched, and he quickly stopped her. What kind of joke was this? This kind of lie might be able to fool the third princess, who had just turned 18, but it would be strange if it could fool the War King dynasty's king. With her current cultivation level, she was no match for a chaotic martial king. Wouldn't she be courting death if she went? There's no rush. Although we have a real relationship now, we still need to get to know each other better. I'll give you some time to think about it. When you truly believe that Ben Shao is your son of heaven, it won't be too late to make a decision. Ben Shao is a gentleman and he will always think for you, Wang Kai said seriously and affectionately. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Chapter 935. Upon hearing these words, the third princess was silent for a moment. Her beautiful eyes stared deeply at Wang Kai, and only after a long while did she speak in a serious and resolute manner. The fact that you can say such words proves that your love for me is real. Therefore, I can now decide that you are my true son of heaven. My name is Ling Fei and I am the princess of the warlord dynasty. I will accompany you for the rest of your life until death. When she finished speaking, Wang Kai was stunned. Until death. Even if she died, her love would not disappear? Needless to say, this vow of love had moved Wang Kai. So much so that Wang Kai wanted to tell her everything about him and his close female friends. Fortunately, Wang Kai controlled himself. Otherwise, who knew if the third princess would immediately change her mind? After all, as the princess of the warlord dynasty, she must be proud. How could she allow her husband to have several wives? Ling Fei. Good names. Ben Shao's name is Wang Kai. Wherever Ben Shao is king. No matter how strong the enemy is, no matter how powerful the forces are, Ben Shao will be able to survive. Wang Kai said proudly as he squinted his eyes. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through and reaching rank 8 chaotic martial ancestor realm. When he heard the notification, Wang Kai was satisfied. Rank 8 chaotic martial ancestor realm, with the help of the martial technique and the chaotic sky-swallowing halberd, he was invincible in the chaotic martial ancestor realm. Currently, the only person in the warlord dynasty that he could not defeat was the warlord king. Furthermore, now that he had the third princess, the warlord king was his father-in-law. In other words, he had nothing to fear. Wang Kai, I know your name. Let's go and meet my father. The third princess blinked her beautiful eyes and smiled sweetly. Upon hearing this, Wang Kai's expression stiffened. So, after all this talk, he still wanted to see the warlord? Even if he would become his father-in-law sooner or later, he still had to wait, right? What if the other party's attitude changed? Who knew what the War Monarch dynasty was like? Fei, have you forgotten what Ben Shao said just now? Wang Kai frowned and pretended to be serious. Whoosh! Seeing this, the third princess hurriedly hugged Wang Kai. Her pretty face was slightly red as she said in a low voice, Okay, I'll listen to my husband. Call me a few more times, Fei-er. My little Fei-er. When Wang Kai saw that the third princess had indeed been intimidated by his tough side, he felt slightly relieved. At least he still had some status. However, he couldn't go overboard, so he simply called out to her gently. You're so naughty. Let's go to the Warlord Martial Dojo. With me there, you can do whatever you want. Moreover, with your cultivation, you don't need to practice martial arts, Ling Fei said rather shyly. In response, Wang Kai gently nodded and smiled faintly. Coincidentally, Ben Shao also wants to go there. He couldn't just let the matter of Grandmaster Wen's assassination go. If there was a grudge, he had to make it clear. The third princess, who was in a blissful mood, and Wang Kai, who didn't want to care about the immobilized Qiao and Ling Shi. The two of them lovingly left the overflowing fragrance garden. Only Qiao and Ling Shi were left in Wang Kai's room, where they were locked down. At the Warlord Martial Dojo, when the third princess's sedan came to a stop, many disciples in the Martial Dojo rushed out to welcome her. Every one of them was the son of a wealthy family in Monarch City. They were all well-dressed and had an extraordinary aura. However, when Wang Kai and the third princess walked out of the sedan hand in hand, the entire place fell silent. All the disciples who came out to welcome them were stunned. Among them, a few disciples who were holding expensive jewelry accidentally loosened their grip, causing the jewelry to fall to the ground. Don't disturb me in the future. I'll take this opportunity to introduce you. This is Wang Kai. He is my husband and the prince consort of the Warlord dynasty. You must treat him with respect in the future. You must treat him with more respect than me. Do you understand? The third princess hugged Wang Kai's arm and smiled as she gave the order. Her willowy eyebrows were curved from smiling. One could see how happy she was right now. What? Prince consort? Him? Isn't he just a servant? Third princess, you can't say that. That's right. He's just a servant. How is he worthy of you? Moreover, he killed 2 young masters of the Zhan family yesterday. Even now, the Zhan family wants to kill him. In an instant, many disciples pointed at him and mocked him. Some even mustered up their strength and channeled their chaotic energy, wanting to attack Wang Kai. How dare you? I've already said that he's my husband. How dare you insult him like this? Do you want to die? And that Zhan family, don't think that they can do whatever they want just because they're one of the 4 aristocratic families in Monarch City. If they anger me, I'll wipe out their entire family. The third princess rebuked with her hands on her hip. Faced with the insults directed at Wang Kai, the third princess was so angry that her body was trembling. She was very unhappy. In her opinion, insulting Wang Kai was the same as insulting her. Wang Kai smiled faintly. He wasn't very angry. He had seen too many of such situations. If he were to get angry at all of them, wouldn't he die of anger? Third princess, you sure talk big. Whoosh! Suddenly, as a deep voice sounded, many martial arts club disciples became quiet. When they saw the person who had come, they all revealed smiles. On the other side of the street, there was a group of people walking quickly. The person who spoke was a middle-aged man. He had an extraordinary temperament and a handsome appearance. However, his brows were tightly furrowed, and his entire body was shrouded in murderous intent. The head of the Zhan family, Zhan Qinshao. The head of the Zhan family is a peak 9th grade chaotic martial grandmaster. This brat is dead. That's good. Let the third princess wake up. How can a mere servant be worthy of the prince consort of the royal family? The disciples sneered inwardly as they looked at Wang Kai gloatingly. What are you doing? Why aren't you backing down? The third princess's beautiful eyes narrowed. Her pretty face was grave as she reached out to protect Wang Kai. She stared coldly at Zhang Qingshao and rebuked him. What am I doing? This brat killed my son yesterday. He must pay with his life. Zhang Qingshao rebuked harshly. You, Fei step back. What will come, will come. Before the third princess could speak, Wang Kai reached out and pulled her behind him. He turned to look at the head of the Zhan family and said indifferently, Your son was indeed killed by Ben Shao. He even killed two at once. However, that was an accident. If you want compensation, Ben Shao can give it to you. However, if you want to take Ben Shao's life, you are not qualified. Chapter 936. Whoosh. Such a scene directly shocked everyone. Everyone's eyes were wide open as they stared blankly, especially the disciples of the Battle Monarch Dojo. They were so shocked that their jaws almost fell to the ground. They could not believe that the master of the Zhan family, a 9th-grade chaotic martial grandmaster, could be slapped so hard by Wang Kai that he could not even fight back. Was this a dream? No, this can't be real. It must be an illusion. Yes, an illusion. Get lost, you are an illusion. Bang. One of the disciples of the Battle Monarch Martial Arts Club was sent flying into the air by Wang Kai's slap. Everyone looked up, but the disciple was nowhere to be seen. No one knew how high he had been sent flying. I did not take your master's life. When he wakes up, I will tell him that if he wants compensation, Ben Shao can give it to him. Furthermore, as long as it does not cross Ben Shao's bottom line, Ben Shao will do his best. However, if you try to act tough and take Ben Shao's life again, don't blame Ben Shao for being merciless. Get lost. Wang Kai frowned and waved his hand impatiently. Whoosh. Many of the Zhan family cultivators trembled when they heard this. They looked at Wang Kai as if they were looking at a demon. Without another word, they ran into the restaurant, picked up the unconscious Zhang Qingshao, and ran away. Even the master of the Zhan family had been defeated. Who would dare to cause trouble for Wang Kai? Wouldn't that be courting death? You, the third princess, stared at Wang Kai in a daze. Like everyone else, she was in disbelief. Although she knew that Wang Kai was a chaotic martial grandmaster, she did not expect him to be so strong that even Zhang Qingshao, who had been a 9th-grade chaotic martial grandmaster for 10 years, was no match for him. What about me? Didn't Ben Shao say it before? In this world, there are countless people who want to take Ben Shao's life, but no one has ever succeeded. This is not bragging, but Ben Shao has the terrifying power to destroy the world. Yes, it's true. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled indifferently. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 2,000 experience and 2,000 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 9th level of the Chaotic Martial Grandmaster realm. Host, Wang Kai. Occupation, Chaotic Warrior Realm. Primal Chaos Martial Ancestor. 9th Grade Cultivation Method. Deluo Diamond Physique Martial Technique. Void Hand Equipment. Chaos Sky Devouring Halberd. Bragging Points, 320 Experience, 05000. Wang Kai did not pay much attention to the system page that appeared in his mind when he heard the system notification. It was only a gain of 1,000 experience points, which was nothing compared to the current rewards. At the same time, Wang Kai was not very happy that he had reached level 9 of the Chaotic Martial Grandmaster realm. Using weapons, martial arts techniques, and cultivation methods, he could surpass 3 small realms in fighting. Regardless of level 7 or level 9, the effect was the same. He still could not defeat a chaotic martial king. He was still the strongest in the chaotic martial grandmaster realm. Bastard! If you have such cultivation, why didn't you tell me earlier? You made me worry for nothing. Damn you! Go to hell. Humph! The third princess' eyes were spitting fire after her words sounded. Her pretty face was quite ugly as she turned around and walked into the Battle King dojo. She did not even turn her head back. She was really angry. Wang Kai was helpless. He touched his nose and did not know what to say. He had never said that he could not defeat Zhang Qingshao. What are you all still looking at? And you, why are you glaring at Ben Shao? Also, merit is not something that can be talked about, nor can it be used to kill people. This young master doesn't care if you kill other people, but if you want to cause trouble for this young master, then you have to pay with your life. Damn it! How unlucky! Get lost. After saying that, Wang Kai spat in disdain. He didn't care about the Zhan family's contributions at all. No matter who it was, as long as they wanted his life, they were just looking for trouble. As for the credit, it was for the Battle King dynasty. What did it have to do with him? Ah! Get out of the way. Many of the Battle King martial arts club disciples hurriedly dodged to the side, as if they had seen a ghost. They were afraid that they would provoke Wang Kai and be sent flying with a slap. After all, the person who had been sent flying had not fallen yet. When he fell down, he would definitely be smashed into minced meat. Do you think you can flirt with the princess? Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself in the mirror? Go home and train your courage before coming back to act tough in front of Ben Shao. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and smiled disdainfully. The crowd looked at Wang Kai's back and were speechless for a moment. Indeed, in a world where strength was everything, what was the use of being a hero? If one was not strong enough, no matter how great a hero was, no one would bother with him. Humph, let him be. When the warlord finds out about this, he will not let him off. That's right. The warlord knows the Zhan family's credit better than anyone else. At the same time, Wang Kai followed the angry third princess to the Battle King Martial Arts Club's B building. In the Battle King Martial Arts Club, there were 3 buildings, A, B and C, which corresponded to the 3 cultivation realms. The weakest one was a chaotic martial disciple, a chaotic martial master, and a chaotic martial general. The number of people in each building was fixed. There were 130 people in each building, and a chaotic martial ancestor master would teach them cultivation experience. This was also why many cultivators outside could not enter, even if they queued up. The Battle King Martial Arts Club would only accept new disciples if they were short of 130. As a chaotic martial master, the third princess naturally had to come to the B building. Her master in the B building was Master One. When Master One comes later, you must not be rude to him. He is different from Zhang Qingshao. Although she was still angry, the third princess still pursed her red lips and reminded him softly. With regards to this, Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and did not say anything. He gazed at the surrounding 100 disciples and saw that they were all hiding from him as if they had seen a ghost. For a moment, he could not help but feel secretly amused. It seemed like they had seen the scene outside the Battle King Martial Arts Club. In that case, Master One must know about it as well. He just didn't know if Master One would dare to make trouble for him again. Heh, Ben Shao is looking forward to it. I hope he isn't a good-for-nothing. Forget it, whether he wants to be a good-for-nothing or make trouble for Ben Shao. He will not be able to escape death in the end. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and sneered inwardly. Wang Kai naturally would not show mercy to an enemy who had killed him once. He would not show any mercy just because Master One was the third princess's master. I'm talking to you. Did you hear me? Master One is the second strongest person in the Battle King dynasty. Apart from my father, no one is his match. Even Zhang Qingshao, who you defeated, has to bow and greet him as Master One. The third princess frowned and reminded him again. She was afraid that Wang Kai would clash with Master One again. Chapter 937. Oh, that sounds pretty awesome. Alright, Ben Shao understands. Wang Kai smiled faintly and shrugged casually. The third princess frowned when she saw this. She stared at Wang Kai with her beautiful eyes and asked suspiciously, "Do you really understand what I mean? Why do you look like you don't understand at all?" Her attitude clearly showed that she did not think highly of Master One. She had said it casually to brush him off. Ben Shao understands. Master One is the second most powerful person in the Warlord dynasty. Besides your father, no one is his match. Therefore, you want Ben Shao to be more cautious and not provoke him, right? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled faintly. I'm relieved that you understand. The third princess secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Initially, she thought that Wang Kai would definitely go head-to-head with Master One. However, from the looks of it now, he should be safe and sound. Don't worry. Ben Shao will beat him up gently. Perhaps he will give him a quick death. However, before the third princess could rejoice for too long, Wang Kai's next sentence blurted out. The third princess's beautiful eyes widened and her pretty face tensed up. She stared at Wang Kai, not knowing what to say for a moment. She was really choked by Wang Kai's words. Greetings, Master One. Suddenly, just as the third princess gritted her teeth and was about to continue persuading Wang Kai, the disciples in the B class all stood up and greeted him respectfully. Master One. The third princess's pretty face turned serious when she heard this. She hurriedly pulled Wang Kai up and looked at Master One, who had just walked in, and greeted him softly. Haha, all of you sit down. Although Master One was middle-aged, his refined aura was extremely outstanding. His face was also extraordinarily handsome. It was not difficult to guess that he must have been a gentleman when he was young. Third princess, please sit down. I've already said that you don't need to greet me. After the numerous disciples slowly sat down, Grandmaster Wen's gaze turned towards the third princess. With a faint smile, he waved his hand. Master One, you're too polite. The third princess did not refuse. As the princess of the War King dynasty, she indeed had the qualifications to do so. Even though the other party was her master, their statuses were different. Everything had to be done according to the rules of the War King dynasty. Of course, the third princess still had to be respectful towards Master One. She still had to stand up and greet him. Their relationship could be said to be one of mutual respect. Sit down. Wang Kai stood there and stared at Grandmaster One. At the same time, Grandmaster One also stared at Wang Kai. The two of them looked at each other normally, but the atmosphere was a little strange. This situation made the third princess even more worried. She kept tugging at Wang Kai's sleeve with small movements. Heroes come from young. You have the ability to defeat the Zhan family's patriarch, yet you're willing to accompany the third princess to the B class. You're not bad. Sit down. Master One smiled warmly. He didn't seem to be dissatisfied with Wang Kai at all. Compared to before, he was like a completely different person. Even Wang Kai secretly found it strange. He secretly wondered if this was still the same Master One who went to the inn to kill him yesterday. I can only say that you're very good at pretending. Thinking of this, Wang Kai pursed his lips and ignored Master One. He sat down on the chair and crossed his legs. Damn this guy. Does he really want to have a showdown with Master One? Seeing this, the third princess was extremely helpless. She could only smile apologetically at Master One. If Master One was dissatisfied with Wang Kai's provocation, this battle would definitely start. He has such a high cultivation at such a young age. It's natural that he's young and impetuous. It's fine. Princess, you don't have to worry. Master One smiled warmly. His expression was full of tolerance and magnanimity. There was no trace of displeasure at all. In this way, he won the respect of many disciples and made them secretly dislike Wang Kai. However, they couldn't defeat Wang Kai and could only secretly despise him in their hearts. Little did they know that if they knew that Master One was faking it and that he had killed Wang Kai before, who knew what they would think? Standing in different positions, naturally they would have different thoughts. Even if Wang Kai knew that they were hostile to him, he couldn't be bothered to deal with them. After all, they didn't know the truth. If there was a reckless guy who stood up and pretended to be tough, he would teach him a lesson and not let him get away with it. Husband, don't make a fuss, okay? After father finds out about Zhang Qingshao, we don't know how he will treat you. If you provoke Master One again. The third princess's beautiful eyes were full of worry as she secretly reminded him. Hearing this, Wang Kai couldn't help but shake his head and sigh. It seemed that he was really weak and couldn't do anything. No matter what he did, he had to be careful and vigilant. Host, Wang Kai. Occupation, Chaotic Martial Artist. Realm, Chaotic Martial Ancestor, Grade 9, Cultivation Technique. Daluo Diamond Body Martial Technique. Void Hand Equipment. Chaotic Sky Swallowing Halberd. Bragging Points, 320 Experience. 05000 inch 5000 experience, which means that I have to brag at least 3 times to reach the Chaotic Martial King realm, plus the ability to fight enemies 3 levels above me. After casually glancing at it, Wang Kai activated his mind power and closed it. He secretly asked, "What grade of Chaotic Martial King is your father? How many Chaotic Martial Kings do you know? Why are you asking this?" The third princess, who was on tenterhooks, was also stunned by the question. Grade 7. In the king's territory, in addition to my father, there is also Wang Shang from the Fire Dynasty. Like my father, he is also a Grade 7 Chaotic Martial King. What do you want to do? The third princess asked even more worriedly. It was bad enough that he was going against the strongest Chaotic Martial Ancestor, Master One, but now he was asking about the stronger Chaotic Martial King realm? What exactly was Wang Kai thinking? The more the third princess thought about it, the more exhausted she felt. Wang Kai was really too worrisome. Perhaps I should have known that he would not be easy to deal with right from the beginning. In the end, the third princess could only laugh bitterly in her heart. Grade 7 Chaotic Martial King. King's territory? Wang Kai did not respond to the third princess, nor did he listen to Master One, who was explaining his martial arts experience. I have to at least be a Grade 4 Chaotic Martial King before I can be invincible in this so-called king's territory. Wait a minute. Chaotic Martial Ancestor Realm martial arts techniques and weapons can kill enemies beyond my level. What about King's territory? Could it be possible? If it is possible. With that thought, Wang Kai made up his mind. No matter what, he had to at least reach the Chaotic Martial King realm first. What kind of territory is the King's territory? In this chaotic realm, other than the King's territory, what other territories are there? Are they more powerful? Wang Kai frowned and asked in confusion. You don't know these? After hearing the voice transmission, the third princess was stunned and looked at Wang Kai in a daze. Chapter 938. The corners of Wang Kai's mouth twitched. If he knew, would he still need to ask? Ben Shao naturally knows. I'm just testing you by asking you. You need to know that as Ben Shao's wife, you must know a lot. Otherwise, how can you be worthy of a handsome young man like Ben Shao? Wang Kai shrugged and pretended to be mysterious. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Upon hearing that, the third princess pursed her red lips and her beautiful eyes were full of disdain. No matter how she looked at it, Wang Kai was definitely bragging. I already believe that you came out from the deep mountains and forests. Otherwise, you wouldn't be so isolated. Did you jump out from a crack in a rock? Ever since you were born, you have never left the deep mountains and forests, and no one told you about the outside world? The third princess was speechless. They were shocked by the extent of Wang Kai's confinement. If he didn't even know the history of the place where he lived, how was he any different from a savage? Get lost, you're the one who jumped out from a crack in a rock. This young master's parents are famous and powerful people, especially my grandfather. He only needs to stomp his feet and the entire chaotic realm will tremble. Wang Kai said with a rather proud look on his face. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. He really knows how to brag. The third princess secretly despised him. Although she didn't want to answer, she was now Wang Kai's woman. Don't talk about the chaotic realm in the future. This is indeed the chaotic realm, but we call it the origin continent. The place where we are now is called the King's Territory, which is ruled by 2 dynasties, each occupying half of the country. As the name suggests, the strongest realm in the King's Territory can only be the chaotic martial king realm. Outside the King's Territory is the cultivation world. Although there are also dynasties and even empires there, their realms are extremely terrifying. Even a vanguard can easily destroy the King's Territory. Of course, the most powerful forces there are still sects and other forces. They don't want to occupy territory, but rather cultivate and seek the Tao. Meanwhile, dynasties and empires want to rule, so the flames of war between the 2 sides are endless. Yes, that's what Grandmaster Wen said. His origin is very mysterious. Even my father, the king, treats him as an honored guest. Although he can't defeat my father, his identity. Alright, you don't have to say any more. As the third princess narrated, Wang Kai listened with great interest. However, in the end, it became a topic to persuade him not to be enemies with Master One. For a moment, Wang Kai couldn't bear to listen anymore. So what if Grandmaster Wen's background was mysterious? Those who offended him had to pay the price. I don't care who you are, if you don't like it, just do it. There are all kinds of forces in the cultivation world, such as empires, kingdoms, sects, and so on. Any vanguard can destroy the king's territory. Wang Kai furrowed his brows as he secretly pondered. He felt that something was not quite right. After pondering for a long while, he finally understood. Immediately, he transmitted his voice and asked, since the strongest forces in the cultivation world are the sects and other factions that only seek the Tao for cultivation, why are they still evenly matched in the war with the empires? I don't know. I want to go. Who asked you to be so fierce to me just now? The third princess tilted her head and pouted. Wang Kai secretly felt a headache coming on. However, he had a favor to ask of her, and had no choice but to lower his head. Ah, my little Feifei Ling fair, hurry up and tell me. I'll dote on you tonight. Why don't we hee? Wang Kai squinted and secretly reached out to press his hand on the third princess' leg. I'm telling you, don't mess around. The third princess' body trembled, and she hurriedly sent a voice transmission to stop him while blushing. She grabbed Wang Kai's hand tightly and refused to let him move. Oh, go ahead then, my little baby, Wang Kai said with a teasing smile. Detestable fellow. The third princess almost fell into Wang Kai's arms after hearing him call her baby. If it weren't for the fact that there was someone beside them, she would have snuggled into Wang Kai's arms and acted coquettishly. The reason why the 2 sides can't decide the winner is naturally because there are a lot of empires and dynasties. They may not all be enemies and keep each other in check. The third princess gritted her teeth and said, Is that really the case? Wang Kai wasn't surprised to hear this. He had asked this question because the third princess had implied that the empire and the sects didn't share the same Tao. That was why he had mistakenly believed that the 2 sides wouldn't form an alliance. Now, it seemed that there would be collusion everywhere. There were no absolute enemies, and similarly, there were no absolute friends. Everything was just for the sake of benefit. What do chaotic martial masters cultivate? Wang Kai, why don't you explain it to us? Suddenly, Master Wen's voice rang out, causing everyone to look at Wang Kai. When they saw that the third princess was blushing and Wang Kai was smiling, they all gritted their teeth in anger and were secretly jealous. Why would she be shy when she was listening to a lecture? Needless to say, Wang Kai must have done something to the princess secretly. Master One is calling you, get up quickly. The third princess reminded him softly. In response, Wang Kai frowned and crossed his legs. With a disdainful sneer, he said, "You don't even know such a simple question, are you stupid? If you have to ask Ben Shao about everything, then when you're having fun with your wife at night, shouldn't Ben Shao help you do some labor?" Whoosh! As soon as he said that, everyone was shocked. The third princess was stunned. Many of the disciples were stunned. Even Grandmaster One was stunned on the spot. His eyes were wide open, and he was a little dumbfounded. No one had expected that Wang Kai's answer would actually be this. Even though they knew that Wang Kai was a lawless person, they did not expect him to dare to challenge Master One, the second most powerful person in the Warlord dynasty. Even Wang Shang had to treat him like a distinguished guest. Moreover, he was so direct and did not bother to hide his insult. "What are you all standing there for? Did Ben Shao say anything wrong? As the master of the Warlord Martial Arts Club, he is reputed to be the second most powerful person in the Warlord dynasty. How can he ask Ben Shao what a chaotic martial master should cultivate? F***ck. No matter how charming and talented Ben Shao is, he shouldn't answer every stupid question, right?" Wang Kai shrugged and waved his hand disdainfully. "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to rank 1 Chaotic Martial King. Host, Wang Kai. Occupation, Chaotic Martial Artist. Rank, Chaotic Martial King. Rank 1 Cultivation Technique, Daluo Diamond Body Martial Technique, Void Hand Equipment, Chaos Sky Swallowing Halberd. Bragging points, 380 experience, 10005000. Chapter 939. B. Starred. Master One asked you because you are the most powerful and have surpassed the chaotic martial master. Apologize to Master One. The third princess regained her senses and lowered her head to look at Wang Kai, who was lying on the chair. She scolded him and kept winking at him anxiously. She was afraid that Master One would get angry and attack Wang Kai. If that happened, everything would be over. Moreover, given how Wang Kai had offended Master One, even if he was killed, no one would say anything. After all, Master One was the second most powerful person in the Warlord dynasty. If the Warlord dynasty heard about how Wang Kai had insulted Master One, even if Master One did not attack Wang Kai, the Warlord dynasty would kill him on his behalf. What's the hurry? What's there to be afraid of? I, Wang Kai, am the most skilled in martial arts. I have only ever punished others. How could I be punished by others? As for those who pretend to be a gentleman on the surface but do bad things behind my back, they won't have the chance." Wang Kai shrugged and sneered with disdain. "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Pretend to be a gentleman on the surface but do bad things behind my back?" With that, the third princess narrowed her eyes. She could tell that Wang Kai was implying something. Based on the current situation, he was undoubtedly referring to Grandmaster One. Could it be that Master One had really done something to Wang Kai behind his back? Otherwise, why would he offend Master One in such a rage? As the saying goes, there is a cause and there is an effect. The third princess understood this. However, it was not the time to explain this. Haha, it seems that Wang Kai is in a bad mood today. Never mind, third princess, bring him back to rest. After all, he is a chaotic martial grandmaster at his age. He is the future pillar of the Warlord dynasty. Before the third princess could say anything, Master One waved his hand and smiled calmly. He was not angry and instead, he seemed to admire Wang Kai as if he would forgive him no matter what he did. Many disciples could only grit their teeth in jealousy. Their jealousy towards Wang Kai had reached an extreme. They thought that Master One would punish Wang Kai angrily and it would be best if he killed him. However, he did not punish him and even praised him. Damn it! Chaotic Martial Grandmaster Realm. How did he reach it? The disciples were jealous but helpless. Everyone knew that Wang Kai's cultivation realm, a chaotic martial grandmaster, was the second most powerful in the warlord dynasty and even the entire king's territory. Besides, there were only two so-called strongest people in the king's territory. One was the Flame King and the other was the War King. Realm Grandmaster Wen and Lord Wen's. Master Wen's. Do you mean that Ben Shao is sick in the head? Aya, little grandson, you've got guts. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled coldly. Whoosh! As soon as he said that, the corners of all the disciples' mouths twitched. Even Grandmaster Wen's face turned green at that moment. They didn't expect Wang Kai to be so ungrateful. The third princess had a bitter expression on her face. She even had the thought of dying. She really couldn't understand Wang Kai's unruly character, who didn't know what it meant to take a step back at all, but she had no choice but to endure it. Wang Kai, come back to the palace with me. Left with no other choice, the third princess could only put on the airs of a princess and stare at Wang Kai with her beautiful eyes. Wang Kai wanted to take the opportunity to show off his masculinity, but when he saw the tears in the third princess' eyes, his heart softened. If this were to go on, the third princess would probably be heartbroken. Yes, you're very lucky, but you won't be so lucky every time. Next time, be careful not to appear in front of Ben Shao. Wang Kai squinted and sneered. He then got up and followed the third princess out. The third princess felt helpless about the fact that she had to teach Grandmaster Wen a lesson before she left. She could only smile apologetically at Grandmaster Wen before she pulled Wang Kai and left quickly. Void Hand. Buzz. However, just as they were leaving the B class, Wang Kai swiped his palm slightly and clenched it into a fist before pulling it back forcefully. Thud. Crack. With a loud sound, Master Wen lost his balance and fell on the long table, smashing it into pieces. Master Wen's pupils suddenly shrank and his heart was extremely cold. Behind the other disciples, he looked coldly at Wang Kai. His ankle had suddenly been strangely bound. That feeling was similar to being grabbed by a hand. However, when he realized it, it was already too late. His leg was pulled back, causing him to lose his balance and fall. Regarding this, the first person Master Wen suspected was naturally Wang Kai. Although he did not know where the power came from, he knew that the only person in the B class who could do such a thing was Wang Kai, who was also at the chaotic martial ancestor realm. I don't care what you're up to. As long as you dare to come, Ben Shao will dare to destroy you. Oh, that's not right. Whether you come or not, Ben Shao will definitely destroy you. Wang Kai squinted his eyes and sneered. What are you looking at? Why aren't you leaving? I don't want you to be framed. The third princess tugged hard at Wang Kai's sleeve and reminded him in a low voice. Wang Kai was secretly amused. There was no need to frame him. He had indeed done it. The Void Hand could kill an enemy in the void without the enemy noticing. Such a martial technique was naturally amazing. However, from the third princess's words, it was not difficult to tell that she already believed Wang Kai's intentions. She was eager to know what Master Wen had done to Wang Kai behind his back. Wang Kai also felt gratified that the third princess believed in him unconditionally. He thought to himself that they were indeed a family. Master Wen, after Wang Kai and the third princess left, many disciples stood up and looked at the dirty Master Wen. They wanted to laugh but did not dare to. Naturally, they did not think that someone had sneakily attacked Master Wen. After all, Master Wen had always been revered as a deity. He had fallen because he was distracted by Wang Kai. Master Wen, you don't have to be so forgiving. There are some shameless people. It's useless to be forgiving. Yes, that's right. It's a pity that my cultivation level is low. Otherwise, I would definitely teach that maniac a lesson. When Master Wen heard the words of the disciples, his face turned pale. In the end, he had fallen because he was distracted. He had been attacked secretly by Wang Kai, but he could not say it out loud. It could be said that he had suffered unspeakable bitterness. Why is he not dead? How did he reach the chaotic martial grandmaster level? What kind of martial arts did he use just now? Who exactly is he? Why did he hook up with the third princess? Damn it! No matter what, for the sake of the Fire King dynasty, he must not live. Master Wen's face was cold as he roared in his heart. Chapter 940. In the overflowing fragrance garden. The third princess brought Wang Kai back quickly. She did not even use a palanquin. She used her cultivation all the way. Tell me, what did Master Wen do to you? In the room, the third princess sat on a chair. She frowned and asked worriedly. Provoking a powerful enemy like Master Wen, if one was not careful, they would definitely die without a burial ground. Nothing much. He secretly tried to assassinate Ben Shao. If Ben Shao was not powerful enough, he would have died in his hands. Wang Kai shrugged and said simply, "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through and reaching rank 2 chaotic martial king." What? Master Wen tried to assassinate you? What the hell is going on? Tell me quickly. Bang. Hearing this, the third princess's face changed. She slammed the table and stood up. I'm afraid it's because of you. Wang Kai was helpless. He could only tell the third princess about how he had offended Master Wen when they first met at the rockery and how he had tried to assassinate Master Wen in the inn. Of course, in the inn, Wang Kai had been successfully assassinated by Master Wen. He had just come back from the dead. He would not tell the third princess about this. Otherwise, it would be embarrassing. I know. After hearing this, the third princess did not suspect Wang Kai. Instead, she fell on the chair and was in a daze. No one knew what she was thinking. What do you know? You believed Ben Shao's one-sided story? Wang Kai frowned and smiled in surprise. Humph, you are my husband, the prince consort of the warring dynasty. If I don't believe you, who will? The third princess pouted and snorted in displeasure. Wang Kaisan could not help but be surprised when he saw that the third princess was still worried even though she had come back to her senses. Could it be that Master Wen has taken a fancy to you? So that's why you wanted to kill Ben Shao that day? Wang Kai's eyes widened and his face instantly darkened. If that was really the case, Wang Kai would not hesitate at all. He would directly kill his way back to the Battle Monarch dojo and wipe out Master Wen. Nonsense. He just doesn't want us to have a bad reputation and ruin his matchmaking. The third princess pursed her red lips and said with an ugly expression. Matchmaking? Wang Kai was startled when he heard this. His face turned ashen as he sneered. He must be tired of living. He even dares to act as a matchmaker for Ben Shao's woman? Who are you protecting? Crown Prince of the Fire King dynasty Yan Heng. The third princess replied through gritted teeth. Seeing that Wang Kai's expression was not right, she hurriedly added, Don't worry, I haven't agreed, and neither has father. What a joke. So what if he agrees? As long as Ben Shao is unhappy, not to mention Master Wen, even the Fire King dynasty will be wiped out. That Crown Prince, Fire King and others will all be chopped into pieces. Wang Kai curled his lips and sneered with disdain. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. Wait, that's not right. Didn't your elder sister, the eldest princess, already marry the Crown Prince of the Fire King dynasty 4 years ago? Wang Kai frowned and asked in confusion. Hearing this, the third princess's beautiful eyes narrowed and her pretty face turned even uglier. She gritted her teeth and snorted, That's why I didn't agree. I can't wait to kill that Crown Prince Yen Heng. Pooh, that's not right. Even if he didn't marry my elder sister, I still wouldn't agree. Don't misunderstand, and Ben Shao has never liked to be jealous. Furthermore, what happened before had nothing to do with Ben Shao. Wang Kai waved his hand and smiled helplessly. However, he was becoming more and more curious about Master One. He was clearly a member of the Warlord dynasty, but he was acting as a matchmaker for the Fire King dynasty. Furthermore, he wanted to marry the third princess to the eldest princess's husband. Wasn't this an insult to the Warlord dynasty's reputation? Where did he get the courage to bring this up? He had already brought it up, but the Warlord dynasty didn't take his life. How strange. Don't provoke Master One again. Although I don't know why Father tolerates him, there must be some secret behind it. If Father doesn't want me to interfere, you can't interfere either. The third princess pursed her red lips and reminded him. What secret could there be? From the looks of it, the Warlord dynasty must have been threatened and had no choice but to let Master One go. As for how Master One threatened the Warlord dynasty, Wang Kai couldn't think of anything. I don't care about this nonsense. However, Master One must die. Tonight, he must die. Wang Kai shrugged and said with an indifferent expression. Swoosh. The third princess was shocked when she heard this. She hurriedly stood up and reprimanded him. You still don't understand. Didn't I tell you not to provoke him? If you die, You what? Don't worry, you'll find out tonight. Even if I don't kill him, he will come and kill Ben Shao. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled faintly. What? The third princess was stunned when she heard this. Soon after, she grabbed Wang Kai's sleeve and solemnly said, Come, let's go see Father. In the Warlord dynasty, only Father can. That's enough. Your father can't even protect himself. Moreover, Ben Shao doesn't need anyone's help. Master One is nothing in Ben Shao's eyes. Wang Kai waved his hand and said casually, What a joke. How much trouble could a mere grade 9 chaotic martial ancestor cause? She was now a chaotic martial king. Ah, that's right. Qiaoer, ask her to find General Dong Lu and let him guard the overflowing fragrance garden. I have saved General Dong Lu's life before, so he won't tell Father. Suddenly, the third princess's face lit up with joy and she walked out. Wang Kai frowned when he heard this, and he was puzzled in his heart as well. Who was the great general of the Eastern Foothill? He'd naturally never seen or heard of him. Moreover, Master One was the second most powerful person in the Warlord dynasty. Other than the Warlord dynasty, who could do anything to him? What was the use of calling him over? He might even lose his life. Where is Qiaoer? The third princess stopped in her tracks, regained her senses, and stared at Wang Kai as she asked. Only then did she realize that ever since she sent Qiaoer to look for Wang Kai until now, she had not seen her. She is in my room. In order to prevent her from ruining things, Ben Shao has locked her in place. You can go now. Ben Shao will let her go. Wang Kai waved his hand and said helplessly. Since the third princess was determined to find General Dong Lu, he would let her. He could not be bothered to stop her or persuade her. Chapter 941. As the third princess brought Qiaoer to look for the Donglu general, Wang Kai did not remain idle. He used Vanishing Shadow to summon Eunuch Lu to the overflowing fragrance garden. Has the warlord heard anything about Ben Shao? Wang Kai asked casually as he squinted his eyes. Now that he was a second-grade chaotic martial king, although he was still no match for the warlord, he was very close to being able to fight him. He asked this because he did not want to fall out with the warlord. After all, he had taken advantage of the warlord's daughter. If he fought with the warlord, who was the father, it would be inappropriate. I admire you very much. Not only did you defeat Zhan Qingshao, the head of the Zhan family, in one move, But you also used a strange technique in the Warlord Martial Club to defeat Master Wen, the second strongest person in the dynasty. Amazing, amazing! Eunuch Lu gave him a thumbs up and praised him. When he heard this, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. It seemed that his answer was very clear. The warlord knew everything that he had done, and he knew it very well. What does the warlord mean? Wang Kai asked flatly. Hearing this, Eunuch Lu raised his eyebrows and smiled. He looked around with shifty eyes and said sinisterly, "The warlord's intention is naturally for me to kill you." Buzz. Suddenly, Eunuch Lu flipped his hand and took out a silver dagger. He thrust it forward, aiming for Wang Kai's throat. The two of them were very close to each other. Caught off guard, Eunuch Lu attacked in the blink of an eye. Daluo metal body. Even though he was a chaotic martial king, he could not dodge a sneak attack from a chaotic martial ancestor at such a close distance. He could only activate his cultivation technique and turn his body into a metal body. Clang! Bang! The sound of metal clashing was heard as the dagger in Eunuch Lu's hand was shattered by Wang Kai's throat. Eunuch Lu's body was also sent flying by Wang Kai's slap, causing him to vomit blood. Your realm, cough cough. Eunuch Lu's face was ashen as he was sent flying by the palm strike. His chest heaved up and down, and he felt as if he could die at any moment. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and reached out to touch his throat. With a rather mocking smile, he said, "You really surprised Ben Shao. Your life is clearly in Ben Shao's hands, yet you dared to launch a sneak attack and try to kill Ben Shao?" Eunuch Lu shook his head and sighed. Nothing is too deceitful in war. Only when you think that I won't act rashly would the effect be maximized. If you want to blame someone, you can only blame yourself for being too confident. Unfortunately, I'm not strong enough to kill you. Wang Kai did not refute this. Indeed, from the very beginning, Wang Kai had never thought that Eunuch Lu would launch a sneak attack on him. After all, the Vanishing Shadow ability had taken control of him. If he resisted, he would die. It was precisely because of this that he was able to gain the upper hand. However, it was fortunate that he had a cultivation technique like the Daluo Vajra body. Due to the difference in realm, he could not harm himself at all. Ben Shao has always been very confident and will not change anything at all. The reason why he let his guard down against you is because he gave you a chance. You don't have the ability to kill Ben Shao. Just like now, Ben Shao is standing here and letting you slash him thousands of times. What can he do? Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and said with a disdainful smile. A Chaos Martial Grandmaster launching a sneak attack on a Chaos Martial King would indeed fall into the trap if he let his guard down, but he would not lose his life. He would not even be injured. Of course, if both parties were Chaos Martial Grandmasters, even if they were many small realms apart, the previous attack would not be fatal, but he would definitely be injured. Unfortunately, Wang Kai was no longer a Chaos Martial Grandmaster, but a Chaos Martial King. Even if you have cultivated a secret technique that can instantly strengthen your physique, you will definitely not be unharmed. Who exactly are you? A Chaos Martial King in the King's territory. You can't be the Fire King. Eunuch Lu gritted his teeth and said sinisterly. Wang Kai shrugged and said with a disdainful expression, "You know it too late. However, you still have a chance to live. Tell me, who sent you to kill Ben Shao? Is it really the warlord?" Swoosh. Eunuch Lu's pupils suddenly shrank. After rolling his eyes a few times, he did not answer directly. Instead, he said in a low voice, "Are you sure you will let me live?" From bang. Ah, crack. However, before Wang Kai could reply, Eunuch Lu let out a miserable shriek. His body directly exploded, turning into a rain of blood and minced meat that scattered all over the ground. It's not the warlord. Wang Kai frowned. He already had a guess in his heart. He turned to look around and said indifferently, "Who exactly is it? Come out." The only people who had a grudge against him were Eunuch Lu, Zhan Qingshao, and Master Wen. There was no one else, but neither Zhan Qingshao nor Master Wen could have ordered Eunuch Lu to kill him in such a short period of time. Could it really be the warlord? Seeing that no one responded, and at the same time, his divine consciousness could not detect the aura around him, Wang Kai could not help but frown. He felt that it was strange. If he could not detect who had done it, it meant that the person who had secretly killed Eunuch Lu had to be very powerful, at least more powerful than him. In the king's territory, besides him, there were two other powerful 7th-grade Chaos Martial Kings. One was the Fire King, and the other was the Warlord. If they had attacked, it would indeed be difficult for him to detect. However, the Fire King would not appear in the Warlord dynasty. Forget it. Although I can use the system to directly find out who did it, wouldn't that be very boring? Ben Shao, let's see how long you can hide. Ben Shao will take on this Taoist disciple. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled mockingly. He simply did not care about this matter anymore. He could do whatever he wanted. As for Eunuch Lu's death, Wang Kai did not care at all. His original plan was to kill Eunuch Lu after he revealed who had ordered him to do it. Although he did not get an answer now, Eunuch Lu was dead and he did not have to do it himself. Damn Dong Lu. Back then, I pleaded with my father to save his life. Now that I have asked him to guard the overflowing fragrance garden, he actually refused. Footsteps could be heard outside the room, followed by the third princess's complaints. When Wang Kai heard this, he could not help but grimace. After all this time, the third princess had gone to ask for reinforcements but had failed. Thud. As the door was pushed open, the third princess and Xiao walked in. They hurriedly covered their noses and saw the minced flesh and blood on the ground. What happened? Are you okay? The third princess hurriedly ran to Wang Kai and asked worriedly. As soon as she left, something happened. This situation made the third princess hate the great general of Dong Lu even more. Chapter 942. Ben Shao is fine, but what about you? You didn't invite that Dong something general? Wang Kai stood up and walked out of the room with a smile on his face. Humph. Don't mention that damned bastard again. I saved his life back then, and now I'm asking him to do something for me. How dare he tell me that he has a duty and can't leave without permission? The third princess gritted her teeth and snorted angrily. Xiao take Little Blossom and clean up the place. Let Little Blossom eat everything on the floor. Yes, princess. Xiao bowed slightly as she accepted the order. At the same time, she secretly glanced at Wang Kai. Although she didn't know what had happened between him and the princess, she was very clear that he would have to serve two masters now. Let the spirit snake eat it? When Xiao returned to the room with the spirit snake, Wang Kai rubbed his nose in amazement. It wasn't a big deal for a demon beast to eat a human, but the one who had died was the head eunuch of the palace, Eunuch Lu. What? No matter who it is, as long as he dares to assassinate you, even if he dies, he will die without a complete corpse. The third princess said coldly. When he heard this, Wang Kai grimaced and waved his hand awkwardly. Ben Shao didn't kill him. Furthermore, the one who died was the head eunuch, Eunuch Lu, who wanted to clean Ben Shao's body. I heard that he had always served the warlord, but he died without a complete corpse, okay? What? Eunuch Lu? You didn't kill him? What do you mean? The third princess was stunned. For a moment she was confused by Wang Kai's words. Eunuch Lu was indeed here to kill Ben Shao, but he failed in the end. Before Ben Shao could ask who sent him, he was killed. Wang Kai shrugged and explained simply. Could it be Master One? Third princess frowned and asked in a low voice. I don't think so. If Master One wanted to kill me, he would have come here personally. Even if there was a mistake, he wouldn't be able to find Eunuch Lu to kill Benshao in such a short period of time. Moreover, he's still in the Battle Monarch dojo right now. As long as he's not around, he would be able to find out. He wouldn't be that stupid. Wang Kai shook his head. Even if Master Wen came, he would have to wait until the dojo closed at night. Of course, Wang Kai didn't say anything more important. Eunuch Lu had been called over by Wang Kai using the Vanishing Shadow ability. Who could have accurately calculated the time difference? How could it be so coincidental that he knew that he was calling Eunuch Lu at this time? After that, he ordered him to kill him? In Wang Kai's opinion, it was completely impossible. Could it be Zhan Qingshao? Third Princess asked again. In response, Wang Kai waved his hand and said rather helplessly, "Don't let your imagination run wild. It's not Master Wen, and it's not Zhan Qingshao either. However, you've reminded me. Let Xiao go and find out who entered the palace today. Oh right, those with high official positions that can surpass Eunuch Lu's." Because of Third Princess's doubts, Wang Kai couldn't help but think again. After some thought, he found some clues. Now, what Wang Kai suspected was that his enemy, the person who wanted his life, happened to be in the palace and coincidentally met Eunuch Lu, forcing him to come and kill him. If that wasn't the case, then the only suspect left was the Battle Monarch. You mean? I almost forgot. When I went to find General Donglu, I saw Prince Chen Lu and Eunuch Lu at the Xuanwu Gate. Third Princess blinked and said in shock. Whoosh. Hearing this, Wang Kai's eyes narrowed. He looked around and muttered with a smile, Prince Chen Lu? That can't be. Wasn't Prince Chen Lu's strength inferior to Master Wen's? If that was the case, how could he have secretly killed Eunuch Lu without Wang Kai knowing? It must be him. Damn it. I'm going to ask my father to kill that outsider from the great Qin dynasty. Third Princess gritted her teeth and said coldly. As soon as she finished speaking, the Third Princess turned around and left without a second thought. Wang Kai was helpless. He reached out and pressed on her shoulder. Shaking his head, he said, "There's no evidence. It's useless to find anyone. Furthermore, even if there was evidence, the Battle Monarch wouldn't have killed Prince Chen Lu so easily. Otherwise, he would have been destroyed along with the great Qin dynasty. Then what should we do? How dare they sneak into my overflowing fragrance garden to kill someone?" Third Princess's face was cold, but she was furious. Originally, the palace was the safest place. Overflowing fragrance garden, as the princess's bedroom, was even safer. However, who would have thought that someone would choose such a place to kill? Don't worry. With Benshao around, no matter who comes here, they will only end up dead. You need to know that Benshao is invincible. The most awesome. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled proudly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. Humph, what time is it now? Why are you still bragging? If you have the ability, why didn't you find that thief and kill him? Third Princess pouted and said disdainfully. Hearing this, Wang Kai shrugged and didn't care. If he wanted to find out who it was, he only needed to use the system and it would be clear in an instant. However, Wang Kai felt that if he did that, wouldn't he miss out on the fun of eating meat like a wolf? Sometimes, it was more fun to rely on oneself and play to one's heart's content. Princess, Princess, Little Blossom has broken through. Hiss hiss. Suddenly, Qiao screamed and ran out. Behind her, the spiritual snake followed her happily. It is natural for him to break through. Eunuch Lu is a chaotic martial ancestor. His flesh and blood have been swallowed by Little Blossom. The chaotic energy in it is naturally very strong, Third Princess said casually. What? The one who died is Eunuch Lu? Qiao covered her face and exclaimed. For a moment she was stunned. Hiss hiss. Crack crack. However, those words caused Xiao Hua's body to stiffen. She opened her mouth and began to spit out the seeds. Then, she began to spit them out. Little Blossom, who was already intelligent, naturally knew what Eunuch Lu meant. Unfortunately, all the flesh and blood had been turned into chaotic energy and absorbed by Little Blossom. Even if it wanted to vomit, it couldn't vomit anything out. Even a demonic beast doesn't like eunuchs? Wang Kai touched his nose and looked at Little Blossom, who was vomiting. He couldn't help but laugh. Plop! Little Blossom, the spiritual snake, couldn't vomit anything out. It turned over and its lower body was facing up. It didn't move at all. Little Blossom, when Third Princess and Xiao saw this, their faces changed and they screamed. It's okay, it may have fainted from fright, or it may have fainted from disgust. Ahem, it may also have fainted from anger. In short, it will be fine when it wakes up. Wang Kai grinned and said with amusement. Chapter 943. In the middle of the night. In the overflowing fragrance garden, Wang Kai sat on a chair with his legs crossed. He looked at the stars in the night sky and drank tea. Beside him, the third princess did not leave his side. She also brought out a chair and sat with Wang Kai in the courtyard. However, the third princess seemed to be very nervous. She held the silver longsword tightly in her hand and the spiritual snake was lying on her shoulder. Xiao stood behind the third princess with a worried look on her face. She stood there nervously. The corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched when he saw this scene. What kind of bad guy could come out from their looks? It was obvious that someone was going to kill them. I say, can you guys relax a little? Also, why are you holding a broken sword? The other party is a chaotic martial ancestor. He can't do anything here. Go back and sleep. Wang Kai frowned and waved his hand speechlessly. Xiao blinked her beautiful eyes and her heart was in her mouth. She reminded the third princess in a low voice, the emperor's son-in-law is right. Princess, you should go back and rest. Even if the murderer comes, we won't be of much help. We might even be a burden. Hiss. Hiss, on the other hand, the spirit snake did not seem to want to go back at all. It jumped from the third princess' shoulder to Wang Kai's shoulder. It spat out its tongue and scanned the surroundings with its green eyes. Look, Xiao Hua doesn't want to go back. As the emperor's son-in-law's wife, can I go back? A real husband and wife should face difficulties together. If we go our separate ways, we will be promiscuous. The third princess pouted and said firmly. Wang Kai was helpless and speechless. He did not expect the third princess to have such thoughts and say such words. It was completely unlike what a princess should say. Xiao Hua is staying here because she wants to take the opportunity to eat the murderer to break through. Why are you staying here? Go back and rest. In the origin continent, no one can hurt Ben Xiao. Wang Kai shrugged and said confidently. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 3rd grade chaotic martial king realm. Hiss. Hiss, at this moment, the spirit snake Flowery also spat out its tongue and nodded towards the third princess a few times, indicating that Wang Kai was right. It had indeed stayed behind to devour humans. Aren't you afraid that the person will be a eunuch? The third princess blinked her beautiful eyes and said with a playful smile. Whoosh! The spiritual snake Xiao Hua fell to the ground. Spiritual snake Xiao Hua's body turned white and fell. Its spiritual snake Xiao Hua of the snake spiritual snake fell. It fell to the ground and fainted again. Little Flower. Seeing this, the third princess panicked. She didn't expect Little Flower to still be in the shadows. Of the princess of the world of the princess. Is it easy to be a pet? It protects you and listens to your orders. In the end, it has to be disgusted by you. Wang Kai shook his head and laughed. How am I disgusting? It's just that its willpower is not strong enough. Humph. The third princess snorted and pretended to be unhappy. Jiao take Xiao Hua and leave first. No matter what you hear, don't come out. Do you understand? Wang Kai waved his hand and said. But the princess, just go. I'm fine. The third princess said indifferently. Forget it. If she wants to stay here, then let her stay. Seeing that the third princess was so insistent, Wang Kai let her be for the time being. He closed his eyes slowly and secretly used his mind to communicate with the system. Chaotic Martial King Realm Martial Skill. Upgrade function? When Wang Kai opened the system, he suddenly discovered that there was an additional function called Upgrade in the system page. However, the option of the upgrade function had not been activated yet. What does the upgrade function mean? Wang Kai frowned and used his mind to ask. Host, activate the upgrade function. You can upgrade cultivation techniques, martial skills, weapons, and other magic treasures, heavenly materials, earthly treasures, and everything in the world to a higher level. Things that are not in the system can also be upgraded. Wang Kai asked in surprise. Host, no matter where you come from, you can upgrade. Swish. As the notification sounded, Wang Kai's heart skipped a beat. In that case, in the future, wouldn't he be able to upgrade things outside the system to show off and even sell them? In the past, the things in the system, such as cultivation techniques, martial skills, and so on, could not be used by others. Even if some magic treasures could be used by others, weapons had restrictions. This also caused Wang Kai to be unable to help Fatty Lu and the others break through their realms and even safely save their lives. Now, if he could upgrade things outside the system, wouldn't he be able to help others? Quickly activate the upgrade function. Wang Kai urged in his mind, pleasantly surprised. Congratulations to the host for successfully activating the upgrade function. A total of 100 bragging points have been consumed. Host, Wang Kai Occupation, Chaotic Martial Artist Realm, Chaotic Martial King Grade 3 Cultivation Technique, Daluo Diamond Body Martial Skill, Void Hand Equipment, Chaos Sky Swallowing Halberd Bragging Points, 380 Experience, 05000. As the notification disappeared, the system page appeared. Wang Kai glanced at it and saw that only his bragging points had decreased by 100. After there were no other changes, he used his mind to close it. The part that belonged to the upgrade function showed that it had been successfully activated. Let's upgrade Daluo Diamond Body and Void Hand first, Wang Kai said in his mind. Congratulations to the host for successfully upgrading Daluo Diamond Body to Chaotic Martial King level cultivation technique. A total of 100 bragging points have been consumed. Congratulations to the host for successfully upgrading Void Hand to Chaotic Martial King level cultivation technique. A total of 100 bragging points have been consumed. A total of 100 bragging points have been consumed. Wang Kai frowned slightly. He couldn't help but click on the Chaotic Martial King level cultivation technique and martial skill to compare. Seeing that each required 100 bragging points, he nodded in satisfaction. Let's upgrade the Chaos Sky Swallowing Halberd as well. Congratulations to the host for successfully upgrading Chaos Sky Swallowing Halberd to Chaotic Martial King level. A total of 100 bragging points have been consumed. After all the upgrades were completed, Wang Kai frowned and used his mind to ask, after reaching Chaotic Martial King level, has the ability to surpass levels increased? Host, at your current realm, you can no longer increase your ability to surpass levels. Only when you reach the almighty level will you be able to increase it again. Hearing the notification, Wang Kai's mouth twitched slightly. After all this time, he had only increased his combat strength slightly. It was temporarily impossible to surpass levels again. Why aren't they here yet? Could it be that they are afraid of Ben Shao? Wang Kai slowly opened his eyes and looked around the quiet, overflowing fragrance garden. He was extremely impatient. Were you lying to me before? Master Wen didn't want to kill you at all, right? The third princess frowned and asked suspiciously. Chapter 944. You said that Ben Shao lied to you? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and asked with a tense expression. Whoosh. Seeing that Wang Kai's expression was not right, the third princess's beautiful eyes flickered. She was extremely flustered. She hurriedly got up and sat in Wang Kai's arms. She wrapped her slender arms around his neck and said softly, "No, I was just joking. Don't do it next time. This kind of joke is not funny." Wang Kai nodded slightly and said with an indifferent expression. They waited for an entire night, until the next morning. Master Wen still did not come to kill them. Such a situation caused Wang Kai's expression to become extremely ugly and ashen. Seeing that Wang Kai was in a bad mood, the third princess did not dare to say much. Last night, because she did not believe him, she was ignored for the entire night. Since then, the two of them had not spoken a word. The third princess, who had learned her lesson, did not dare to say anything else. F***CKU. You're really not coming? Really not coming? Whoosh. Wang Kai suddenly stood up, the veins on his forehead bulging. It could be said that he deeply and thoroughly hated Master Wen in his heart. If it was said that he had to kill him before, then now, he had to beat him up and crush him into minced meat. Report. The warlord has ordered for the third princess to come to the main hall of the palace immediately. Suddenly, a voice like that of a male duck was heard. A fair-skinned eunuch walked quickly into the overflowing fragrance garden. How dare you? Who are you? How dare you linger in the third princess's overflowing fragrance garden? The eunuch was about to bow when he saw Wang Kai standing beside the third princess. He was shocked and angry and immediately reprimanded him. I'm your grandfather. Scram. Buzz. Bang. Suddenly, Wang Kai, who was in a rage, did not indulge him. He directly slapped the eunuch, causing him to vomit blood and fly out of the overflowing fragrance garden. Well done, husband, well done. That damned servant, he doesn't know his place. He deserves a beating. The third princess blinked her beautiful eyes and hurriedly clapped her hands and cheered. The corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched slightly. He understood that the third princess was afraid of him. Helpless, he hugged her and said softly, "Fair, you don't have to worry. Ben Shao is just a little upset. Think about it. Ben Shao is an earth-shattering figure who can shatter the Genesis continent with a stomp of his feet. Master Wen actually made Ben Shao wait for him for an entire night. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points." Ugh! After being hugged by Wang Kai all of a sudden and hearing him call out Fei Er's name softly, the third princess' body softened. She murmured softly, "That's right. That Master Wen really doesn't know what's good for him." Well, he really doesn't know what's good for him. Do you think he should be killed? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and said with a cold light. He should be killed, the third princess, who was in a drunken stupor, replied almost instinctively. That's right. He should be killed. You go to the palace to see the warlord first. Ben Shao will go to the Warlord Martial Arts Club and cripple Master Wen. Wang Kai said with a cold smile. Okay, a what? No. The Warlord Martial Arts Club is my father's pride. If I kill Master Wen there... Swoosh. However, before the third princess could finish her sentence, Wang Kai's figure had already disappeared. Why was I so silly just now? No, I must inform my father as soon as possible. Wang Kai and I have already done it as husband and wife. When the time comes, he can be pardoned for his crimes. After thinking about it, the third princess called Xiao and anxiously rushed to the palace's main hall. Since yesterday, the third princess had already known that Wang Kai's cultivation was not weaker than Master Wen's. In fact, he was even stronger. Therefore, the third princess was not worried that Wang Kai would be defeated. After all, not everyone had the ability to knock Master One to the ground. At the same time, in front of the Warlord Martial Arts Club, spots of light appeared and gathered together to form Wang Kai's figure. Such a strange technique shocked the disciple who had just opened the door of the Warlord Martial Arts Club. He was so shocked that he fell to the ground. You, Wang Kai, you are a Chaos Martial King? The disciple pointed at Wang Kai and exclaimed in shock. He knew very well that only a Chaos Martial King would have such a technique. Although he had never seen it before, he had heard about it from the masters in the Warlord Martial Arts Club. The Chaos Martial King realm was unpredictable. He could scatter himself into spots of light and disappear without a trace. He could also gather the spots of light and travel thousands of miles in an instant. The scene that Wang Kai had just appeared was exactly the same as the master's explanation. Where is Master One? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and asked nonchalantly. Master One, God! Could it be that he is here for revenge? The disciple was shocked when he heard that. He was very clear about the many conflicts between Master One and Wang Kai. Ben Shao is asking you a question. Didn't you hear him? Wang Kai said nonchalantly. Swoosh. Plop. The disciple was so frightened that his face turned pale. He quickly knelt on the ground and pointed at the Warlord Martial Arts Club. He said in a trembling voice, Master. Master One is in the B class. He is inside. Buzz. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Kai's body turned into spots of light and disappeared in front of the disciple's frightened eyes. God! He is really a Chaos Martial King. However, when Wang Kai arrived at the B class, he did not see any trace of Master One. In a fit of anger, he released his divine thought to search. You are Wang Kai, right? Why are you here so early? Suddenly, a voice rang out beside his ear. Wang Kai's eyebrows twitched slightly as he turned around, only to see a white-haired elder standing in front of him. It's simple. Kill Master One. Wang Kai said indifferently with his hands behind his back. Then, his figure turned into a speck of light and disappeared. After searching with his divine thought, he did not find any trace of Master One. A Chaos Martial King. He who wants to kill Master One? Oh no. The Crown Prince of the Fire Empire just arrived at the Warlord Palace. Master One has just gone over. If he barges in. Buzz. The white-haired old man's eyes flashed. Then, his body turned into specks of light and disappeared. If Wang Kai was here, or anyone else who saw this scene, they would be extremely shocked. It was rumored that there was only one Chaos Martial King in the Warlord Empire, the Warlord. Now, there was another Chaos Martial King, Master One. This aura is Fei-er. Then, the most powerful one is the Warlord? Wait, there is another aura. A Chaos Martial King? Too? Could it be the Fire Emperor? It shouldn't be. The Fire Emperor and the Warlord should have the same aura, but this one is obviously much weaker. What's going on? When Wang Kai used his spiritual sense to cover the entire royal city, the aura he sensed was far beyond his expectations. Chapter 945. Bastard, I Ling Fei-er already have a husband. It's impossible for me to be with you. Please scram back to your Fire King dynasty. Third Princess Ling Fei-er's face was ashen as she angrily rebuked in the palace hall. Her words immediately caused the expressions of the surrounding officials to change. They all turned to look at the middle-aged man standing at the front. That middle-aged man was wearing a fiery red dragon robe. He had a head full of red hair, and even his eyebrows were blood-red in color. This caused his already handsome face to appear even more bewitching when contrasted by the redness. Even though he was middle-aged, he still had a demeanor that did not lose to the handsome young masters of the younger generation. In fact, His aura was even better. This person was the only prince of the Fire King dynasty and the current crown prince, Huachong. Beside him stood Grandmaster One of the Battle King Martial Dojo. Both of them had high statuses and high cultivations. As soon as they entered the palace hall, they were immediately chosen to stand at the front of the officials. The officials did not say anything about this. In terms of status and strength, they were indeed inferior. Haha, third princess, why are you angry? Our engagement is not up to the two of us to decide. We still need to see if the Battle King agrees. Huachong smiled and turned to the old man sitting on the dragon throne and cupped his fists together. The old man wore a golden dragon robe. Although his hair was white and his face was thin, his eyes flickered with a sharp light. He was like an impenetrable wall that gave off an extremely powerful feeling. This old man was Wang Shang of the Battle King dynasty, Ling Xiao. When he heard Huachong address him as an old man, the Battle King's eyes darkened. A cold light flashed in his eyes, but he did not fly into a rage. Fei don't be rude. Step aside and wait. The Battle King glanced at the third princess and pretended to be displeased as he reprimanded her. Father, I already said that I have a husband and have privately pledged my life to Huachong. I will not marry Huachong. Furthermore, he has already married eldest sister, yet he still wants to. This is simply unreasonable. No matter what, I will not agree to it. The third princess said through gritted teeth. The warlord frowned slightly in response. A trace of helplessness flashed across his eyes, but it quickly disappeared. Lord Warlord, even though Crown Prince Huachong married the eldest princess 4 years ago, the relationship between the two dynasties has improved and the war has been calmed down. Moreover, Crown Prince Huachong is here to marry the third princess, and he will give 100 cities of the Fire Dynasty to our Warlord dynasty. Warlord, please think twice for the sake of the country. Grandmaster Wen cupped his fists and said loudly. 100 cities were ceded. Whoosh! As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present was shocked. Among them, many of the ministers were already tempted. The ceding of 100 cities was not a small number. After all, regardless of whether it was the War King dynasty or the Fire King dynasty, the number of cities they each possessed did not exceed 1,000. To give up 1/10 of the land in one go, it could be said that this was a big deal. Shut up. You bastard! Are you trying to get royal father to sell me to the Fire King dynasty? As a teacher, how can you add fuel to the fire in such a despicable matter? You are simply a bastard. The third princess's eyes turned cold as she stared at Grandmaster One and scolded him sternly. At that moment, she even wanted to kill him. At the same time, the third princess could not help but complain about Wang Kai in her heart. She did not know where he had gone to find people. If he had killed Grandmaster One, such a despicable matter would not have happened. Third princess, everything I do is for the sake of the War King dynasty. I will not take personal feelings into consideration. Even if my actions will cause the world to scold me, as long as the War King dynasty is indestructible, I will be fine. Grandmaster One said solemnly. His words won the approval of many of the ministers. This caused their hearts, which were already in an uproar over the 100 cities, to become even more restless. Lord Warlord, please agree to this marriage. After Grandmaster One took the lead to ask for instructions, many of the ministers echoed his words. Faced with such a situation, the third princess's body trembled and her mind went blank. At that moment, she did not know what to say or do. In particular, the strange smile on Huachong's face made the third princess secretly afraid. Lord Warlord, may I be so bold as to say this? This matter cannot be agreed to. Suddenly, an extremely ear-piercing voice rang out, causing everyone's gazes to look over. At the head of the civil officials, a white-haired elder cupped his fists together and asked for instructions. His face was filled with unyielding disdain. It was as if the marriage with the Fire King dynasty was a shameful matter. I also do not agree to it. If the Fire King dynasty does not know what is good for them and does not know what is good for them, I request for the army to attack. At the same time, at the head of the military officials, a white-haired elder in armor stood out. Although he was in his twilight years, he still looked majestic. When the civil and military officials saw the two of them stand out, they began to weigh the pros and cons in their hearts. After all, the two of them were too powerful. It could be said that they were the first batch of people to follow the warlord to conquer the world. There were only 3 people left from that generation, and the two of them were two of them. Prime Minister Jean, General Hu? Huachong frowned and turned around. He looked at Prime Minister Jean and General Hu and smiled faintly. Humph! However, in the face of Huachong's greeting, the two of them were rather disdainful. They snorted coldly and turned their heads away. They did not even intend to acknowledge Huachong. How dare you? Do you have the right to speak here? Grandmaster Wen scolded sternly. You are the one who is impudent. When we followed the warlord to conquer the world, you were still in some rat hole. General Hu snorted disdainfully. Haha, General Hu, why waste your breath on him? He is merely a traitor. One day, he will become a traitor. Prime Minister Wen smiled faintly. How dare you humiliate me in front of the court? Buzz. Bang. Whoosh. Whoosh. Suddenly, Grandmaster Wen attacked Prime Minister Jean with his palm. However, before he could hit Prime Minister Jean, it was blocked by General Hu, who rushed over and waved his hand. In the end, Grandmaster Wen and General Hu both retreated a few steps. Do you really think that you are the second most powerful person in the warlord dynasty? If I am not old, I can kill a weak, chaotic martial ancestor like you with one hand. General Hu sneered disdainfully. Haha, he wants to attack me? He knows that I am a scholar and not a martial artist. Prime Minister Jean smiled faintly. Father, what is the punishment for Grandmaster Wen's action in the main hall of the palace? The third princess blinked when she saw this. She hurriedly looked at the warlord and asked in a delicate voice. This. The warlord frowned deeply when he heard this. He glanced at Huachong and moved his lips. He did not know how to reply. Of course it is the death penalty. F***CKU Grandmaster 1. You made Ben Shao go to the Warlord Martial Arts Club for nothing. Let's see where you can run to now. Suddenly, an angry voice rang out in the main hall of the palace. Everyone was shocked. However, the third princess was overjoyed. Chapter 946. How dare you? Who is making a ruckus outside? Master Wen's eyes darkened as he shouted coldly. Buzz. However, when the light spots gathered around him, Master Wen's pupils constricted and his face turned pale. He could not help but take a few steps back. At the same time, many of the officials were stunned. Naturally, everyone knew that this was an ability that only a chaotic martial king could display. Damn you, Master Wen! Kneel down before Ben Shao. As Wang Kai's figure appeared, he yelled. Master Wen's knees went soft, and he knelt on the ground. God! Who is this young man? He reached the chaotic martial king realm at such a young age? Is he from the warlord dynasty? This is unbelievable. The civil and military officials all began to discuss in shock. Even the war king's eyes were sparkling and his face was full of emotion. As for the third princess, she was smiling like a blooming flower. Everyone's approval of Wang Kai made her feel even more proud. Wang Kai. Master Wen gritted his teeth and growled with an ashen face. He wanted to get up but found that he couldn't move at all. Under the pressure of a chaotic martial king, no matter how strong Master Wen was, he was only a chaotic martial grandmaster. Wang Kai. The one who defeated Zhan family head Zhan Qingshao in one move? God! Isn't it rumored that he is a chaotic martial grandmaster? He is actually a chaotic martial king? Everyone was indescribably shocked, especially the people from the Zhan clan who were standing in the Great Hall. Right now, their expressions were extremely ugly. Although they harbored hatred towards Wang Kai, they didn't dare to make a sound. The Zhan family head, Zhan Qingshao, was still recuperating in bed. The strongest person from the Zhan family was only a first-grade chaotic martial grandmaster, and was no match for him. Who would dare to make a sound? Brother, I wonder what enmity you have with Master One? Can you give me a— Get out, get out, get out of my face! Who do you think you are? How dare you plead with Benshao? Before Huachong could finish speaking, Wang Kai glared coldly at him and reprimanded him. Huachong's face immediately stiffened after being choked in such a manner. A murderous intent brewed in his eyes, and his hands under his sleeves involuntarily clenched into fists. Master One, you failed to kill Benshao previously and even acted tough with Benshao many times. Today, Benshao will take your life. I hope you'll learn to be honest after you reincarnate. One. Crack. Suddenly, before the crowd's eyes, Grandmaster Wen's head was smashed to pieces by Wang Kai's palm. He died on the spot. The speed of his attack was so fast that even Huachong, who was standing nearby, was unable to see it clearly, let alone stop him in time. Well done. Such traitors deserve to die. General Hu clapped his hands and laughed. Although Prime Minister Jin did not say a word, his smile showed his thoughts. You are a first-grade chaotic martial king, the crown prince of the Fire Dynasty? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and turned to look at Huachong. Swoosh. Seeing that Wang Kai had changed the topic to Huachong, the civil and military officials present held their breaths. Killing Master One was not the same as offending the crown prince of the Fire Dynasty. No, that's right, I am. You are 2F** king stupid. Slap. Plop. Huachong's words were once again interrupted by Wang Kai. Huachong's face was smashed by Wang Kai's slap. Huachong's body was sent flying, rolling on the ground for a dozen times before coming to a stop. Go back to your Fire Dynasty. The third princess, Ling Fei is Benshao's woman. Your small fire kingdom is not fit to be here. Also, tell your father that he better cede his land to the War King dynasty as soon as possible. Otherwise, Benshao will take his head in less than 10 days. Wang Kai snorted with disdain as he placed his hands behind his back. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. When Wang Kai heard the notification, he did not care. He was now a third-grade chaotic martial king. He needed to be at least a fourth-grade chaotic martial king before he could compete with the Fire Emperor. However, it was too easy for Wang Kai to reach the fourth-grade chaotic martial king level. Using the current situation, all he needed to do was to brag and that would be it. Ahem, War King, is that what you mean? Huachong crawled up and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Although he was furious, he was not stupid enough to attack Wang Kai directly. After all, Wang Kai was able to see through his cultivation level and defeat him with a wave of his hand. This proved that Wang Kai's cultivation level was far above his. Although he did not know where this chaotic martial king came from, Huachong did not dare to be presumptuous in front of Wang Kai. Answer him yes and tell him that if the Fire Dynasty does not surrender, the War King dynasty will destroy their land. Wang Kai placed his hands behind his back and secretly sent a message to Huachong. Whoosh! When he heard this voice transmission, the Zhan Wang frowned deeply. His eyes were filled with an indescribable feeling as he glanced at Wang Kai. Then, he turned to look at the third princess. Finally, he shook his head and replied with a voice transmission, "This cannot be done. The eldest princess is still in the Fire King Empire. Don't worry. With Benshao around, he can bring her back to the War King dynasty anytime. We don't need to use a single soldier to destroy the Fire Dynasty." With Ben Shao around, it will be enough, Wang Kai calmly replied. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 4th grade chaotic martial king level. No, I still can't believe. What a drag! Before Huachong could finish speaking, Wang Kai flipped his hand and slapped Huachong. Huachong was instantly sent flying into the distance as he vomited blood. Ben Shao will only give you 10 days. After 10 days, you will die, Wang Kai calmly said. This situation caused Huachong to be dumbfounded. Now that Huachong had been sent flying, even if he wanted to refuse, he no longer had the chance. As such, he was destined to be at odds with the Fire Dynasty. Now that Wang Kai was a 4th grade chaotic martial king, he did not fear War King at all. Even if War King was the 3rd princess's father, if he was stubborn and could not differentiate between good and bad, Huachong would still teach him a lesson. Those who have just loudly agreed to Huachong and Fei Er's marriage, pay attention. Ben Shao will be resting at Fei Er's overflowing fragrance garden later. I hope that you will prepare your gifts and take the initiative to apologize. Don't King make Ben Shao personally look for you. After he spoke, Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and walked towards the 3rd princess. He hugged the blushing 3rd princess. Let's go. We will rest and wait for the gift. The 3rd princess lowered her head and softly replied. Then, under the panicked gazes of the civil and military officials, Wang Kai carried the 3rd princess and disappeared from the palace. Even War King was stunned at this moment. He had never seen such a strange person who dared to rob in such a blatant manner. Furthermore, it was in the main hall of the palace. Chapter 947. Overflowing Fragrance Garden. Wang Kai and the 3rd princess carried 2 long benches and sat in the courtyard, just like last night. Qiao Er and Spirit Snake accompanied them, pouring tea and serving desserts. The civil and military officials of the War Monarch dynasty hurried back home after the War Monarch announced the end of the court session. They spent a great deal of effort to prepare, then returned to the palace and headed straight for the overflowing fragrance garden. From 1st grade officials to 9th grade sesame seeds, regardless of their rank, they were all present to present lavish gifts. For example, gold, silver, jewels, heavenly treasures, and even more directly, chaotic steel. Wang Kai didn't pay any attention to this. He just sat there with his legs crossed and didn't even smile at the other party. In Wang Kai's words, not killing anyone was already a great kindness, and giving a gift could save them from death. This was already a great deal, and he still wanted to greet them with a polite face? Dream on. I never imagined that the officials of Monarch City, who preach poverty and not greed, would be so wealthy. Their combined wealth is enough to train and feed an army of 1,000,000 men. The 3rd princess frowned. Her beautiful eyes were filled with disdain. However, these words caused Wang Kai to be taken aback, and he directly spat out the tea that he had just swallowed. What? Feed an army of 1,000,000 men? Wang Kai asked in surprise. Not just feed an army. We can train an army of 1,000,000 men into elite soldiers. They can go into battle at any time. 1 against 100, the 3rd princess said, rolling her eyes. Wang Kai was quite shocked when he heard this. He naturally understood what the 3rd princess meant. It was nothing more than using heavenly materials and earthly treasures to strengthen the chaotic martial artists. However, how much food and water would be needed to feed an army of 1,000,000 men? How could she have the time to obtain such a large amount of heavenly treasures? Look at your silly face. Every heavenly treasure here can be exchanged for countless low-grade heavenly treasures. It's enough to train the soldiers, the 3rd princess said, blinking her beautiful eyes. After all, how strong could the soldiers be? There was no need for high-level heavenly treasures at all. Can these things be used in the world of cultivation? Wang Kai frowned and asked expectantly. If he could use it in the cultivation world outside the king's territory, he would definitely be impressive. However, what the third princess said next made Wang Kai speechless. It is possible, but the effect is very small. All of it added up is not even comparable to a piece of chaotic true crystal in the world of cultivation. If it were given to an ordinary person or a poor person, it would be enough to feed them for the rest of their lives. They would never be able to spend it all. The third princess smiled faintly. Primal chaos true crystal in the world of cultivation, was it the currency used by the almighty cultivators and those above? Wang Kai shrugged helplessly. Since it didn't have much use, he would just treat it as a joke. He waved his hand and said, "These broken things are for you. These were mine to begin with. I want to give them to my father and donate them to the War King's royal family's treasury. When the time comes, we'll be able to train elite soldiers and stabilize the War King dynasty's position." The third princess smiled. Hearing this, the corners of Wang Kai's mouth twitched slightly. Faced with the third princess's arrogance, he simply didn't care. Those things were useless to him in the first place. After all, Wang Kai knew very well that he was going to the world of cultivation and not the king's territory. He would also have to go to the world of cultivation to figure out the method to return to the heavenly domain. After all, Taoist Hong Chen was in the Great Sage realm. Before reaching that level, he wouldn't be able to go back even if he used the system. These bastards have quite a lot of money. Suddenly, as a sneer sounded, the War King strode in from the door and looked at the treasures that had already piled up into a mountain in the courtyard with an icy cold expression. "Father," seeing this, the third princess hurriedly got up and bowed. "Lord War King." Xiao Er also bowed in horror. Even Spirit Snake went forward to bow respectfully. On the other hand, Wang Kai was still sitting there with his legs crossed and sipping tea. He didn't have the intention to bother with them at all. Previously in the main hall of the royal palace, the warlord didn't even dare to speak tough words. Wang Kai had already taken note of this matter. He didn't beat him up only because he was the third princess's father. According to Wang Kai, being a battle king was too cowardly. He didn't even have the slightest bit of courage. He was not as good as Wang Shang of the Divine Martial Empire in Fanzhou. At the very least, he still dared to plot against the marshal's residence and successfully kidnapped him. Wang Kai. Seeing this, the third princess couldn't help but reach out and tug at Wang Kai. In response, Wang Kai was rather helpless. He casually raised his hand and cupped his fists as a form of greeting. It's okay. My son-in-law is extremely talented and brave. It's only right that he is a little arrogant, the War King said with a smile with his hands behind his back. Son-in-law? However, these words caused Wang Kai to frown. In addition to the flattery that followed, Wang Kai began to see the War King in a new light. You don't have much guts, but you're quite good at flattery. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled playfully. As soon as he said this, the atmosphere instantly became awkward. Both the War King and the third princess had awkward expressions. Indeed, the War King was a little cowardly in the main hall of the palace. Even the third princess couldn't bear to watch. Fei Er, you may leave first. The War King smiled awkwardly and waved his hand. In response, the third princess glanced at Wang Kai and blinked her beautiful eyes. Only then did she leave with Xiao Er and Spirit Snake. Speak, why did you purposely chase Fei Er away to look for Ben Shao? Wang Kai shrugged and asked calmly. I see that you're a third-grade chaotic martial king. You're indeed impressive to be able to reach such a level at your age. You can be ranked first in the king's territory. However, I'm not sure where you get your confidence from to declare war on the Fire Dynasty. Could it be that you have other helpers? The Battle King narrowed his eyes and asked with an expression filled with anticipation. At this point, they had already angered the Fire Dynasty. If they didn't think of a way to resolve this matter, the War King dynasty would definitely be embarrassed. Who told you that Ben Shao is a third-grade chaotic martial king? Moreover, Ben Shao can drown the entire Fire Dynasty with a spit. Why would he need helpers? Wang Kai frowned and said disdainfully, "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. You may not know, but the Fire King has already broken through to the 8th grade chaotic martial king realm. He also has the shockingly talented Crown Prince Huichong beside him. Although he is only a first-grade chaotic martial king, if the two countries go to war, it will be extremely disadvantageous for the War King dynasty," the War King said with a frown. Chapter 948. Wang Kai squinted his eyes when he heard the system notification and what Zhan Wang had said. No wonder the system had determined that he would not be able to destroy the Fire Empire. It turned out that the Fire Emperor was a rank 8 chaotic martial king. This meant that if Su Mo wanted to defeat him, he would have to be at least a rank 5 chaotic martial king. As for the Crown Prince, Huichong, Wang Kai did not care about him at all. If Su Mo wanted to go to war with the Fire Empire, he would not need to send an army to suppress them. If he went alone, he would be able to destroy an entire dynasty. This was the ability of an expert. You are so cowardly. You tolerate the Fire Empire because you are afraid of the Fire Emperor, who has broken through another rank. Wang Kai frowned and could not help but grin. In response, the warlord smiled bitterly and nodded. He sighed, "We should have been at the same level, but I don't know what method he used to break through before me. He also has the monstrous Huichong and 2 chaotic martial kings. It's really difficult to deal with them." That can't be right. Ben Shao remembers that there is another chaotic martial king in Monarch City. Although his rank is not as high as yours, he is much more powerful than the Crown Prince. Wang Kai squinted his eyes and smiled playfully. When Su Mo had left Zhan Wang Martial Arts Club, he had used his spiritual consciousness to cover the entire Monarch City. Other than discovering the aura in the palace, he had also discovered a chaotic martial king in Zhan Wang Martial Arts Club. Although Su Mo did not know who the chaotic martial king was, he was sure that the chaotic martial king was a rank 3 chaotic martial king. Moreover, the chaotic martial king had been following Su Mo. However, Su Mo did not know why the chaotic martial king had not appeared. "Are you talking about the club master of Zhan Wang Martial Arts Club? Haha, he is my sworn brother. Like Prime Minister Jin and General Hu, he is one of the earliest brothers to follow me to conquer the world. Now only the 3 of them are still alive." Zhan Wang shook his head and sighed. "All right, Ben Shao does not want to care about your past. Since you know the chaotic martial king, why don't you let him help you? With him around, Crown Prince Huichong is nothing." Wang Kai curled his lips and said disdainfully. In response, the War King bitterly smiled and said, "He has yet to fully recover from his injuries. Even though he is a primal chaos martial king, he is unable to fight against the enemy. If he forcefully fights against the enemy, he will be in danger of dying at any time. This king has always tolerated the Fire King dynasty because I have no other choice." Hearing this, the corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched slightly. After all this time, it turned out that he was just a chaos martial king who was good-looking but useless. Whatever, let's not talk about this for now. "Can you tell me if there are any other helpers?" The War King frowned and asked in a low voice. "Helper? If he had a helper, he would have killed Grandmaster Wen long ago. Why would he be killed in the inn?" Wang Kai shrugged, speechless. He said bluntly, "No, just Ben Shao." "No? Then, this prince can only apologize. Swoosh. Suddenly, the War King's expression changed. Frost covered his face, and the murderous intent in his eyes was not concealed at all. OF*CK? Don't tell me you want to give Benchao's head to the Fire King dynasty as an apology? To appease the Fire King's anger? Wang Kai frowned, touched his chin, and asked in surprise. He secretly thought that he had underestimated the War King. After all this time, the War King was not here to get close to him, but to kill him. That's right. You are very smart and powerful. You are not inferior to that demon Huachong at all. However, for the safety of the War King dynasty, I can only kill you personally. It's a pity that I have wasted such a talented young man. The War King shook his head slightly and sighed regretfully. It was not hard to tell from his expression that he really felt regretful. After all, Wang Kai had such achievements at such a young age. It was indeed rare in the king's territory. Remember, when you are in front of Benchao, stand up and speak. Make Benchao tired of looking at you. Sit on the ground. Void hand. Buzz. Bang. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Kai raised his hand and slashed across the air. This action shocked the War King. He flipped his hand to block it. However, in the face of an untraceable martial skill, even the War King, a 7th-grade chaotic realm expert, could not block it. He was directly slammed onto the ground, causing cracks to appear on the ground. His buttocks could be said to be firmly seated on the ground. The pain coming from his buttocks caused the warlord's face to contort. What he felt was not pain, but a deep sense of humiliation. A battle emperor had been beaten to the ground by a mere junior. Looks like you are not a 3rd-grade chaotic martial king. No, it's not as simple as a 4th-grade chaotic martial king. The War King frowned and said in a deep voice, Buzz. When Wang Kai heard this, he curled his lips in disdain. He flipped his hand and took out the Chaos Heaven-swallowing halberd. He stabbed it into the ground beside him and looked indifferently at the War King. He laughed coldly and said, Do you know the consequences of acting tough with Benchao? Fei-er. The War King did not even respond. Instead, he hurriedly shouted. Wang Kai was dumbfounded by this. He had never imagined that the mighty war monarch of a dynasty would ask his daughter to save his life. Father, Wang Kai, you. The 3rd princess rushed over after hearing the commotion. What she saw was the warlord sitting on the ground with cracks all over his body. Coupled with the War King's twisted and hideous expression, the 3rd princess was stunned. How long had it been? A conflict had actually occurred? Fei-er, your father wants to take my head and send it to the Fire King Empire. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and said with an amused expression. Swoosh. Hearing this, the 3rd princess's pretty face froze. Her beautiful eyes widened and were filled with disbelief. She never thought that her father would have such thoughts. Fei-er, for the safety of the War King Empire, for your safety, for the safety of your elder sister, and for the safety of all living beings, this is the only choice I have. The War King's face darkened as he said in a heavy voice. Father, the 3rd princess tightly gritted her teeth as her beautiful eyes flickered. For a moment she did not know what to say. That's enough. Benchao will not kill you, nor will he destroy the War King Empire. You can get up and leave on your own. However, you must remember that you can only kill Benchao once. This time, Benchao will not be calculative with you on account of Fei. Wang Kai waved his hand and said impatiently. Swoosh. The War King's expression turned even uglier. He was the War King, but the Fire King had surpassed him by one step. Now, he was being taught a lesson by a junior. Old man, come and take his life. Fei-er, I'm sorry. Buzz. Suddenly, an elderly voice rang out. A white-haired elder appeared in the sky with a long sword in his hand. He descended from the sky and slashed at Wang Kai. This person was the owner of the War King Martial Club. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.